So hey guys, this is your favorite the fictional vortex. So in this video, we will see, what if Naruto had eyed power of Dragon God? But before we start, remember to subscribe and like this video. Now let's start. The dragon village is silent as its inhabitants watched a procession march toward the square. The village itself is similar to that of the human side with most of the dragons in human form. The procession reached the square that had a direct path to the dragon gate. From the procession, one lone figure came under the watchful eye of the guards. The black torn robe shone the magic tattoo on his arms as his wings that hung from his back bent in weird angles. His eyes held no fire due to the lack of food that the prison gave, making him barely able to stand by himself. The guards dragged the dragon man to the center of the square as one of the guard turned into his dragon form. Chrono, known also as God of War, we are here for your crimes against the dragon people. For your crimes of treason and murder of Kumori, we hereby sentence you to death by disembowelment. By your soul find no rest. The remaining guard Anno, unst as the villagers nearby muttered to each other. The guard looked at Chrono and sighed. You may have your final word, the guard muttered. Chrono looked up from the ground and looked around as he mustered up his strength to speak. I have betrayed my kin. I will admit that, but I betray for a good reason. Humans were meant to live on the other side of the gate. Not us. We thirst for power and that was our motivation. They yearn to live and that is what gave them the land. Chrono muttered before falling silent again. The guard snorted as he signaled the transformed guard to prepare for the attack. If that is the last thing you have to say, then by the law of the dragons, perish from the land, the guard announced. The transformed guard roared before attacking. Just then two arrows slammed into both of the guard's eyes as a burst of bright light blinded everyone. A pair of strong hands grabbed Chrono as 3 sets of feet raced off toward the dragon gate. Chrono managed to shake the light from his eyes and turned to see a red-haired man with scars. Jafar, Chrono whispered. Hurry Jafar, the spell is wearing off. A girl's voice said. We got him Nino. Jafar said. Let's hurry then. Emerald, help me. Jafar, watch our backs until we get to the dragon gate, Nino said as she placed one of Chrono's arms around her shoulder as Emerald placed the other arm over her shoulder. Chrono looked to his left first. A small green-haired girl with purple robes supported him as she ran the best she could. He then looked to his left and saw a black-haired lady with a bow and quiver hung on her back. Chrono smiled somewhat before moving his feet into a run. Soon enough, the 4 of them reached the open dragon gate as they met up with Nils, a blue-haired boy who was carrying some food. Is he okay? Nils asked as he broke a piece of bread and gave it to Emerald. They starved him. He barely has any energy to stand let alone fight, Emerald said as she took the bread and put it in his mouth. We have to get through the gate soon, Nils said as Chrono ate the bread offered. But what about you? Nino asked. There's a hole in the wall on the east side of the temple. I'll get out there, Nils answered as he handed Chrono the other half of the bread. You better get going Nils, Jafar muttered. Nils nodded as he left for the hole. Chrono, can you stand? Emerald asked. I guess I can, Chrono replied as he shakily got to his feet. What about your wing? Nino asked. It's broken. No time to heal it. Jafar, I hope you have a spare sword and a healing staff. Chrono muttered. Jafar nodded as he pulled out the said items and handed it to Chrono. He placed it at his side and the staff went on his back. Just then, the loud clatter of footsteps was heard. Everyone, turned to see the guards and a morphed dragon bearing down on them. They're escaping. Kill them, the guard yelled as the dragon unleashed a blast of fire at them. Jafar yelled as he took Ino and dove into the gate as Emerald grabbed Chrono and jumped in it. The blast of fire slammed into the gate and shattered it while unleashing an energy surge. The surge from the attack tore open a hole inside the portal that Chrono and his group fell though. Konoha ********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* bolts of lighting struck the ground. Every now and then, as from the tallest building, an old man watched from inside. As he watched, a ninja suddenly poofed into the room. Sarutobi-sama, the ninja said. The Hokage turned to the ninja and smiled at him. Don't worry, I'll head home soon enough. I just want to enjoy my free time from my paperwork. Sarutobi muttered as he turned to leave. Just then Sarutobi felt a large chakra surge from behind him. He turned as he saw a blast of thunder that slammed down in front of the building. Sarutobi felt the surge die away but then felt 4 chakra signatures, with all of them weaken. Hokage-sama, the ninja said. Gather Anbu. Sarutobi commanded as he rushed out of the room. Down at ground level, 4 Anbu stood around the smoking crater as it cleared to show Chrono and his group. What is this? A purple-haired masked lady asked. Be on guard, Yugo. Another Anbu said. What's this? Sarutobi said as he met up with the squad. We don't know, but judging from their chakra signature, 3 of them are at least Chunin ranked. The winged person is weakened, but he is at least high Chunin rank. There is also something funny about the winged man. He has almost the same feeling like Kyuubi. But he is not like them, Hokage-sama. Yugo said. Okay then, take them to the hospital and put them in the same room. Yugo, I want you and another Anbu member to guard their room. I'll see them in the morning. Sarutobi replied as he left the scene. Let's get to it then. Yugo said as they picked up Chrono's group and rushed them to the hospital. 3 days later, morning. Chrono groaned as he opened his eyes. The sight of the ceiling made him wonder as he looked around. He saw Nino, Emerald, and Jafar in a nearby beds. Where am I? Chrono mumbled. You were in Konoha Hospital. A voice said. Wah. Chrono muttered as he sat up. His eyes then laid on an old man wearing the white robe who was smoking a pipe. Who are you? Chrono asked looking at the white-robed man. I am the Sandaime Hokage. Sarutobi answered. Hokage. You mean Marquis? Chrono replied. Marquis. Sarutobi asked. The leader of a village. Chrono answered. Sarutobi decided to take a mental note and came up with an idea. In any case, you have been found outside of the Hokage Tower. From what the nurse said, you are fairly starved. So I was wondering if you want to come with me and meet a fellow ninja that I know. Sarutobi said with a slight smile. I guess. Chrono replied as he saw his sword and staff beside his bed. He got up and saw that his wing is still bent in weird directions. So Chrono grabbed the staff and muttered a quick chant. Sarutobi eyed Chrono as he watched him heal his wings. Whatever he did, it surpasses Tsunade's healing abilities. Sarutobi Menta, LLY mused as he saw that Chrono was finished and was using his staff as a walking cane. As they left the hospital, the pair walked past a few kids as Chrono looked around. He even saw some of them holding weird knives. One question bothered Chrono. Where is the swordsman? Chrono asked. The man labeled as the professor laughed. We don't have swordsmen, but we have ninjas. He replied. Ninjas? Chrono asked. I'll tell you about it over a bowl of ramen. What is your name anyways? Sarutobi said. Chrono. The said man replied. They eventually reached a ramen stand labeled Ichiraku Ramen as they entered. G-san, a voice exclaimed. Chrono looked to see an orange-cladded boy waving to them. Naruto. Sarutobi replied as he smiled. Who's he? Naruto asked. He came into the village during the thunderstorm a few nights ago. He's Chrono. Sarutobi answered. A few nights ago. How long was my group out? Chrono asked weakly. At least 3 days. But for right now, we need to get your strength back. Sarutobi answered honestly. Chrono you know, I'll soon put this geezer out of work. Naruto boldly stated. Why? Was Chrono's question. Because I'm gonna be Hokage. The orange blonde replied back. The current Hokage has a nice soft laugh at Naruto's antics. Chrono, how would you like to know what a ninja does? Sarutobi carefully asked as the duo got to their seat next to Naruto. I guess it could help. Chrono replied causally. Okay then. Tomorrow, the academy that Naruto is going is having their team selected. I would like it if you can be there tomorrow, and if it's possible, can your friends come along? Since you carry weapons, I can assume that you can fight. I have to know your strengths by testing your skill with a Chunin from this village. Sarutobi stated. Okay then. Chrono replied. Naruto overheard this and smiled. Cool, now you get to see the soon-to-be Hokage in action. Naruto said as the 3 ordered their food and ate. As they ate, Chrono felt a demonic feeling from Naruto. But it felt somewhat tamed from him. This feeling, it's just like Kumori but weaker. Chrono thought as he finished his bowl of ramen. Soon enough, the other two finished. Head eating with Chrono looking bug-eyed at the amount that Naruto ate. Sarutobi paid and Naruto left them. On the way back, Sarutobi looked at Chrono. Anything else you like to ask? The Hokage asked. Why does Naruto want to become the Marquis, I mean the Hokage? Chrono asked. Sarutobi sadly smiled. The reason is tied to a village secret and there is a law in effect with death as punishment as a result. I can't say it now. But when Naruto is older and he knows this himself, then let him answer your question. Sarutobi replied. Soon enough the pair reached the hospital and Sarutobi made S. Chrono reached his room before he left the hospital. So how is the four? A voice asked from behind him. The first three is fine, Kakashi. The winged man, Chrono showed a small portion of his street strength and it can easily match up against Tsunade's healing power. He replied as he turned around. He saw a white gravity-defying haired man with a mask over a good portion of his face. His left eye is covered by the Hitate as he held an orange book. Just a small portion and he can match Tsunade's healing powers. Kakashi muttered. You have a team selection tomorrow and you have your team. I would like you to test their strength out. Sarutobi muttered before left the ninja there. Back in the room, Chrono saw the rest of his group awake. Where were you? Emerald asked. The leader of this village, the Hokage as he is called, took me out for lunch. I think he might be up to something. Chrono whispered. You sure? Nino asked. Why would the leader talk to Chrono only then? Jafar P. pointed out as Chrono activated his sky eyes and checked the surrounding. No idea. In any case, rest up. The Hokage asked for us to be at their academy tomorrow. He said that he has to test our strength. Chrono muttered. Everyone nodded as Chrono did one last healing chain for everyone before hitting the bed. The next morning reached them as they made their way to the academy. After asking for directions several times, Chrono and his group managed to reach the school. They entered the school just to see Naruto in front of them. Naruto, why are you waiting for me? Chrono asked. You have to come with me to the class. Who's your friends? Naruto asked looking at Jafar, Nino, and Emerald. The red-haired man is Jafar. Beside him is Nino. Don't mess with her or you'll find yourself black and blue. The lady behind me is Emerald. Chrono answered as he pointed to the people. Naruto smiled, which led Nino and Emerald to giggle a bit before he led the four to the doorway to a room. Standing in front of the doorway, stood a pineapple hair man with a slight scar on his nose and beside him was Yugo. Iruka-sensei, Naruto exclaimed. Naruto, are these the people the Hokage? Iruka asked. Yup. Chrono, Jafar, Emerald, Nino. Naruto replied. You better get inside then. Iruka said as he opened the door for Naruto. Yugo walked up to the four and nodded. I will be your opponent for Hokage's assessment. Follow me, Yugo said as she started to walk to the back of the school. Chrono followed Yugo as Jafar, Nino and Emerald followed. Inside the classroom, everyone sat back to their places. Naruto, who was still reeling from the unintentional kiss from Uchiha Sasuke, looked outside of the window, while the pink-haired Sakura had her fist closed and ready to pee. Ound the ever-living daylights out of Naruto when Iruka started to announce the teams. Naruto doze off until Team 7, Haruno Sakura, Uzumaki Naruto, and Uchiha Sasuke. Naruto faceplanted the day. He was sitting in as Sakura smiled in triumph. Through all that, Sasuke did not acknowledge either of them. Soon enough, Iruka finished naming out the teams as he cleared his voice. Now, as a good luck present, the Hokage will allow all of you to watch an assessment test for 4 new ninjas from a distant country. They will be tested by a selected opponent by the Hokage himself and he will be there also. Iruka said. Everyone started to talk quietly. I wonder who the visitors are. A blonde girl with purple hair muttered as she looked to a boy next to her, who was asleep, and to a big-boned boy who was eating chips. Who knows Ino, but if the Hokage personally chose their opponents, then they will not last long. A boy with a dog on his head replied. Who knows? Let's get going Kiba, Shino, Choji, Ino, Hinata, Shikamaru. Sasuke-kun, Sakura said as she hovered to Sasuke's side. Naruto looked dejected by this but followed everyone outside with Iruka behind him. Soon enough, everyone was outside as they saw the 5 fighters. Who's the freak a cape? That lady will beat them easily. Hiba muttered as the Hokage walked over to Iruka. Hokage-sama, Iruka said. Sarutobi nodded as he looked at the battlefield. Yugo, are you ready? Sarutobi asked. Hi. Yugo replied. Are you 4 ready? Sarutobi asked Chrono. The only reply was Chrono pulling out his sword with his right hand as his eyes lit up blue and his left hand raised slightly to prepare any magic attacks. Jafar pulled out both of his short swords as Emerald knocked an arrow onto her bow. Nino pulled out a staff and smiled. Unknown to the academy students and Chrono's group, all the Chunin in the village came to watch the impending battle. The assessment test of Chrono and his group, start. The word ran. G out as Yugo instantly ran through some hand seals. Finishing up, she cried out, Kaden, Hausenka no Jutsu. She took a deep breath before blowing out many small fireballs toward Chrono and his group. Chrono sheathed his sword and looked at Jafar as the pair nodded. Jafar rushed toward the oncoming fireballs and dodged each one of them. Chrono saw his chance and pointed his finger at the oncoming fireballs. The fireballs curved around Emerald, Nino and himself before returning toward Yugo, rushing out in front of Jafar. What? Yugo exclaimed as she pulled out her katana and dodged he flaming balls before deflecting several slashes from Jafar. The pair went into a deadly blade duel as each attacked and deflected deadly slashes and stabs from the other. From the sidelines, Naruto watched in awe as he saw Jafar taking on Yugo. Cool. Jafar looks cool with those swords of his. Naruto said. You can't even hold a sword properly, Dobi. Sasuke muttered. Tem. Naruto retorted. 2 fists slammed on his head. Baka. Don't talk bad about Sasuke-kun. Ino and Sakura yelled just before going into a staring match with each other. Behind the 2 fighting girls, a white-eyed violet-haired girl looked at Naruto and blushed slightly. Naruto-kun. The girl whispered as she poked her forefingers together. You say something, Hinata? Hiba asked looking at her. No, nothing. Hinata replied quickly. The Hokage watched intently at the battle as the other Chunin on the rooftop watched also. What do you think, Kakashi? A man with a cigarette in his mouth asked. The man in red is good with Kenjutsu. If I have to say anything, he could be decent in Taijutsu also in his own right, Sasuma. Kakashi replied. What about the others? A red-eyed lady asked. We'll see, Kurenai. Kakashi replied. Back on the battlefield, Jafar and Yugo managed to get into a deadlock when Chrono looked to Emerald and Nino. The pair nodded as they assisted Jafar. Emerald shot 3 arrows toward Jafar's back as Nino quickly chanted and unleashed an illusion over the 2 sword fighters. Jafar noticed the field blurring a bit and he shoved Yugo back before jumping backward as the arrows soared beneath him. Yugo noticed the arrows and deflected them before running through another set of hand seals before finishing it. She jumped into the air and cried out. Kaden. Gukaku no Jutsu. She inhaled some air before blowing into a hole made by her hand. The flames rushed down toward Chrono and the girls. Chrono smiled as he raised his left hand in a gripping motion. What's that idiot Deong? He's gonna get him and the girls killed. Hiba laughed as Shino and Shikamaru looked at Chrono's action. He has something prepared. Shino and Shikamaru thought. Their prediction came true as the fire stopped in its track. What? Asuma exclaimed as he saw that. How can he stop that jutsu just like that? Kurenai asked. Remember the boy's eyes glowing. They might be a dojutsu. Kakashi replied. What kind of bloodline limit would allow someone complete control over an element like fire? Asuma asked. Kakashi shrugged as he resumed watching the match. He slightly lifted his hita to reveal a red eye with 3 commas in them. He then looked over at Chrono's group. His eyes widened as they set on Chrono. His chakra, it's not normal. Kakashi thought as he placed his hitate back over his eye. Yugo pulled out several kunais with explosive tags on them and threw them at Jafar. Jafar dodged them but failed to notice the tags on them, resulting with an explosion that sent him backward and crash-landed in front of Nino with several burns. Nino, take care of him. Chrono muttered as he stepped forward. Nino nodded as she began chanting a healing spell. Chrono stepped out to see Yugo pulling out her sword. Now, pulling that stunt is good and all. But when you pull that when I'm around, I'll send it back to you. Chrono muttered as he prepared to attack. That's the fighting style of a ninja boy. Bunshin no jutsu, Yugo muttered as she made a quick hand seal. As soon as the words was called out, 20 clones appeared and charged at Chrono. That's good, but not good enough, Chrono muttered as he quick-drawed his sword and slashed widely as his magic took over and sent a quick air slice at each clone. Chrono smiled as all of the clones instantly dispersed, leaving a semi-shocked Yugo. Chrono took this time to rush in and engage in his own sword duel with Yugo. As he watched the fight, Sasuke looked at each of Chrono's group with determination in his eyes. Their fighting style, they don't deserve something like that. I will see to it that I get their secrets out one way or another. Sasuke thought. Iruka was in sheer awe as he watched the fight continue. They are not ninjas, but they fight even better as one. What could they have gone through to fight like this? Iruka wondered quietly. Naruto smiled as he saw Chrono go into action. His mind replaying each attack that Chrono did, and he was itching to try them out himself. Within his mind, inaudible words was heard, but Naruto pushed them to the back of his mind as he wanted to see who would win. Back on the field, Chrono slowly backed up as Yugo slowly overpowered him. I see you mainly use ninjutsu to fight. But you were rather decent in kenjutsu, Yugo muttered before earing Chrono's defense and rushing in for a slash. Chrono jumped back just to barely miss the blade as it sliced his robe off completely, leaving only his pants left. It was then that Yugo's eyes widened, and as she saw a scar at the middle of Chrono's chest and that his cape was actually wings. All the girls except for Ino, Sakura, and Hinata drooled slightly at Chrono's form. Sarutobi's and the Junin's eyes widened as they saw the scar on both sides of Chrono. It looks like he was stabbed. In all rights, he should not even be living. Asuma muttered. Yeah, he must be very lucky to survive that. Kurenai muttered. Chrono had to think up of a quick plan to end it fast as he landed. Calling back to the group, Chrono yelled, Jafar, you back on your feet. He is now. Emerald called out as Shish. He prepared several arrows as Nino and Jafar got back to their feet. Okay, pin her, Chrono yelled as he channeled his thoughts to the energy stones that he gave the three of them when they were as Elliewood. Everyone nodded as they prepared to attack. Jafar rushed forward with his swords out. Chrono saw Jafar coming behind him and jumped on his shoulders before using them as a springboard to jump higher. Once in the air, Chrono surprised all of the ninjas except for Yugo more by taking flight. Those were wings, Kiba exclaimed. All of the Junin were mildly surprised as Sarutobi smiled a bit. That must be his bloodline limit, he mused. What's a bloodline limit? Naruto asked. It's an inherited ability, Iruka replied as he watched Chrono fly. Emerald and Nino then started to bombard Yugo with arrows and magic. Yugo dodged that attacks as best as she could, but slowly sustained minor injuries as Jafar rushed in and engaged in another sword duel at the end of the girl's volley. Yugo felt hard-pressed to dodge all of Jafar's attack as Chrono flew behind her and rushed in for his attack. Jafar saw this and shattered Yugo's defense with a kick before Chrono tackled her to the ground. Yugo tried to get up before Chrono and Jafar placed their swords on her, effectively ending the battle. You lose, Chrono muttered as he and Jafar sheathed their swords and got Yugo up to her feet. It was then that the Rookie 9 managed to see the two scars on Chrono's chest. Hinata gathered her courage to ask the question everyone had on their mind. Anyo, Chrono-san, why is there two scars on you? Hinata's words made Chrono smile bitterly. That is something personal only that us four know about. If you want to know what these two scars mean, you have to pass my test. I'll give you one chance for an answer. Chrono replied. The question would be, Sarutobi asked, suppose there was another race besides humans and they seek to conquer. You are a part of that race. And you are against their ideals as the opposite side only wants to live. Are you willing to abandon your kin, family, and friends to protect the other race? Chrono replied. Of course not, Baka. Kiba replied back quickly. Is that your answer, sir? You all have only one reply as a group. Don't throw it away, Chrono said. That effectively shut him up. In any case, the Junins are here to pick up their teams. Sarutobi said. The Rookie 9 turned as their respective Junin instructor picked them up. Sarutobi walked up to Chrono and beckoned Yugo to leave. She nodded and left, leaving the Hokage with Chrono and his group. Where do we stay for the time being? Chrono asked. I suggest that you stay with Naruto for now until arrangements can be made. Sarutobi replied. Chrono nodded as the rest of his group gathered to him. Let's get going, shall we? Sarutobi muttered as he started walking. Chrono followed Sarutobi along with his group until they reached an apartment complex. The Y ascended a flight of stairs and finally reached a barely kept apartment door. Sarutobi pulled out a key and opened the door. Everyone saw ramen cups laying about as most of the items inside the room was nearly busted. What happened? Chrono asked. Apart from the need to clean up, Emerald replied. I know Naruto's place is not clean, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind the company. Sarutobi said as he handed Chrono a spare key and left. Well, what do we do now, Chrono? Jafar muttered. Clean up and get our stuff set for the night. Chrono replied dumbly as the group entered. Later at night, Naruto left Ichiraku ramen patting his stomach and smiling. Yup, after all that, a good bowl or 20 of ramen hits the spot, Naruto said to himself as he reached his apartment complex. He grabbed his key and opened the door with it when he saw his place, clean to a shine with Chrono and his group lounging around. Chrono, Naruto exclaimed. Do me one favor and throw out the spoiled stuff. Chrono mumbled as he laid it on the couch. But how did you get in here? Naruto asked. The Hokage told us to stay with you for the time being. Emerald replied as she patted Chrono. Besides, we decided that since you are letting us stay here for a time being, we decided to pay you back somehow. Nino added. Really? Then how about some of those jutsus you used earlier today? Naruto asked hopefully. Well, I guess the basics wouldn't hurt. Chrono muttered. Yada. Naruto exclaimed as he ran over to Chrono and started pulling him. Do you have anything tomorrow? Chrono asked. Just a survival test. Naruto replied. I'll go with you tomorrow. Now go to sleep. You need to be at your best. Chrono stated. Naruto nodded as he rushed over to his room. A voice quietly rang out from his mind. Keep away from the god. Naruto looked around and saw no one. He shrugged and quickly went to bed. Next morning. The next day dragged Chrono out of his sleep due to Naruto's prodding. Chrono, wake up. We have to go now. Naruto muttered. Yeah, I'll get up now, Lin. Chrono mumbled in his sleep. Lin? Naruto asked. Chrono opened his eyes to see that it was Naruto. Okay, Naruto. Just get me something to eat and we'll be on the way. Chrono mumbled as he got up and stretched his wings. Naruto went to the kitchen as the Dragon Boy reequipped his sword and staff and yawned a bit. Just after that, Naruto returned from the kitchen with some cup ramen already made. That's fast. Chrono muttered as he grabbed the ramen and ate it. He looked around to see that the two girls saw still asleep and Jafar was not around. If I had to guess, Jafar's out training. Chrono thought as he went outside with Naruto. So, where do your team meet? Chrono asked. At Training Ground 7. Naruto replied. Which direction? Chrono muttered. That way. Naruto answered, pointing out east. Okay then. Hold on tight and don't, for the love of all that's tasty, look down. Chrono said as he grabbed Naruto by his arm and took off toward the direction of the training ground. Ah, I'm gonna fall. I'm gonna fall. Naruto screamed out. Eventually, the pair made it to Training Ground 7 where Sakura and Sasuke were waiting. Sakura and Sasuke looked up to see Naruto and the winged boy landing. Sakura-chan. Naruto muttered as the pair landed. Dobi. Sasuke retorted as Sakura started to get angry at Naruto. Don't call Sasuke-kun that, Naruto. She yelled. Who are they? Chrono asked. I'm Haruno Sakura. Sakura replied as she edged next to Sasuke. Uchiha Sasuke. Sasuke replied. That's some reply. Chrono sarcastically muttered as Sasuke got up and looked at Chrono. Teach me. Sasuke muttered. Teach you what? Chrono asked. Teach me to use those ninjutsu that you used. Sasuke demanded. If you are demanding it from me, then no. Chrono bluntly stated. What? Sasuke exclaimed. The only way to know is not through knowledge, but from the environment. Chrono cryptically replied. Then I'll beat it out of you. Sasuke muttered as he pulled out a kunai. Well, looks like you guys are ready to go. A voice muttered. Everyone turned to the source of the voice and saw Kakashi. Kakashi. Sakura muttered. You were their teacher? Chrono asked. Yup. That's right, Chrono. For your survival test, Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke. You were to take these 2 bells from Chrono. The white-haired man said. What? Everyone exclaimed. When did I agree to that? Chrono yelled. When you got here. Kakashi replied. To that, Chrono had no answer to that. Kakashi handed Chrono the 2 bells. Take it easy on them. Kakashi said. I won't take it easy on them. If they intend to fight on the battlefield, they should know what to expect. A battle and war is the same thing. They have to be ready to die for their goals. Chrono coldly retorted as he tied both bells on the hilt of his sword. Kakashi sighed as he pulled out a timer and set it. You 3 have until noon to get the bell from Chrono. Kakashi muttered as everyone nodded. Start. The field suddenly went bare save for 3 people. 2 of the people was Chrono and Kakashi as the 3rd person was Naruto. Quote, why aren't you hiding like your friends? Chrono asked. I'm gonna take the bells, Chrono. Naruto stated. Be my guest then. Chrono replied as he drew his sword. Naruto then made a cross hand seal and called out. Kage Bushin no Jutsu. After the words was spoken, 40 clones poofed into existence, surrounding Chrono. Every one of them charged at Chrono with their fist raised. Chrono remained unfazed as he activated his sky eye in his left eye. Chrono was mildly surprised as the eye did not show any of the clones. That's interesting, Chrono thought as he rushed through the crowd of Narutos. Chrono ducked and weaved through the Narutos until he slammed the flat side of the blade on the Naruto to his left. Instantly, the remaining clones dispersed as Naruto was sent flying backward and slammed on the dirt. What? Sasuke mentally exclaimed. No way. Sakura thought. How did you know? Naruto exclaimed. Chrono's reply was a smile and a reply. The eye sees all. I'll show you Ro. Oki fighters only 2 of my special techniques that I created with my control over the elements. Doragon Kata. Bo Ikusen Kurinuki. An. Dragon Style. 1000 cuts. Chrono vanished from the Genin to B's view and appeared behind Naruto. 1000 cuts appeared on Naruto's body at the same time, causing Naruto to collapse on the dirt, too much in pain to speak at the moment. What? How did he do that? Sasuke thought as he looked at the display with some fear. Oh no, I'm going to die if he finds me. Sakura thought as fear gripped her. Now, I think that Sakura should be the next one to realize that importance of the battlefield is more important than looks or love. Chrono said as he used his eyes to locate Sakura. I have to move, Sakura frantically thought as she ran into the forest. She ran as fast as she could until she was tired and looked around. I'm safe, Sakura muttered. Are you sure? Chrono's voice called out. Sakura looked up into the sky and saw the winged man. Shish. He started to run when the earth around her rose to the point that she could not jump high enough to clear it. Chrono landed inside the enclosement and drew his sword. Sakura drew her kunai with shaky hands and prepared to fight. Your hands are shaky, Chrono remarked. Get away from me, Sakura exclaimed as she threw all other shurikens and kunais she had at Chrono, who deflected them. Time for you to go to sleep, Chrono said as he rushed into attack. Sakura shrieked and fainted on the spot. Chrono stopped his attack and sheathed his sword. Maybe I overdid it on her. But she had it coming. Chrono muttered as he lowered the earth to normal level. As soon as the earth reached normal level, 5 shurikens burst out of the bushes behind him. Chrono turned and blasted air at the attack, deflecting it. Sasuke jumped out of the tree beside of Chrono and landed with his kunai out. Looks like you decided to stop hiding, Sasuke, Chrono muttered. The Dobi didn't stand a chance. I will take a bell. Sasuke smirked as he got into a taijutsu stance. Trust me, you won't even touch me, Chrono retorted as he prepared for the attack. Sasuke rushed in and tried to slash Chrono's sword hand. But that left Sasuke with only a kick to the face and a punch to the gut as Chrono backed up. Come on. After seeing Naruto failing in that tactic, what makes you so sure that you can beat me with that? Chrono asked as the bell ringed in Sasuke's face. What Chrono didn't see was Sasuke running through hand seals until it was too late. Kaden. Gukaku no Jutsu. He yelled as he unleashed a breath of fire at Chrono from the ground, which engulfed him. Now, I need that bell, Sasuke muttered. What was that fire supposed to do? Chrono asked as the Uchiha saw the fire spinning around Chrono, but not touching him. That only tired up Sasuke's anger even more as he punched and stabbed at Chrono. Each block made Chrono smile and Sasuke get even angrier until Chrono shoved him back. How about this, Sasuke? I teach you anything you want, in exchange that you tell Kakashi that you didn't get the bell. Chrono muttered, I'll have to get the bells anyways. Sasuke angrily replied, I have no choice then. Doragon Kata. Ketatamashi Kair. An. Dragon style. Piercing slash, Chrono yelled as he slashed once. As quickly as it happened, Sasuke's arms and legs received slashes, making him cry out in pain and forced him to the ground. Just off into the distance, a bell rang out. Looks like it's noon. Time to get you to Kakashi. Chrono said as he cut the bells from his hilt and placed them in his pants pocket. He picked up the moaning Sasuke and Sakura and walked back to the clearing where Naruto was, wide awake and in slight pain. Here, Kakashi. Two rookies that can't stand the battle. One fainted and the other rushed recklessly. Chrono said as he dumped both of them to the ground. Sakura woke up to see everyone there and freaked out when she saw Sasuke slightly injured. Sasuke-kun, you killed him, Sakura exclaimed pointing to Chrono. His injuries will heal in a second. You too, Naruto, Chrono muttered as he pulled out his staff and chanted. Soon enough, the pair's wounds closed up and healed, leaving no signs of the injury ever being there. Well, from what Chrono told me and from what I saw, you three won't have to go back to the academy, Kakashi stated. The Regenin's hope rose before Kakashi shot them down. You three should quit being a ninja. Naruto, you rushed into an opponent without knowing what he was capable of. Chrono, tell Sakura and Sasuke their side, Kakashi said. Sakura, you failed to seek out aid from your teammates when you saw Naruto fall. Sasuke, you are just like Naruto even though he has a better anger management. Chrono stated. Sasuke gritted his teeth and rushed to attack Chrono. Chrono easily put Sasuke down with a single hilt slam to the gut and tripping his feet out from under him. Chrono then pulled out his sword and slammed it beside Sasuke's head as he placed his feet on his back. That's what I'm talking about. I used to be a tactician of an army. It was my responsibility to ensure victory and everyone's safety. Your three's display mocked everything I ever did and the job that I held. You also mock Kakashi's job as a ninja. But I give you one last chance. Sakura, kill Sasuke or I kill you three, Chrono muttered. Sakura paled as she looked nervously at Sasuke. That's why you are put on teams. So situations like this won't happen. Those who abandon the rules is trash. But those who abandon their friends is worse the trash. You three get to a pole and neither of you will get lunch. Kakashi muttered. The three marched to the pole and Chrono binded them to the pole by making the pole grow until it surrounded them so that they could not get out easily. That's settled, Chrono muttered until he saw three people walking to them. Chrono, Emerald's voice called out. Over here, Chrono replied. Soon enough, Emerald, Nino, and Jafar came over to the three Genins to be Kakashi and Chrono. Emerald placed a basket down and smiled. How about some lunch? Nino asked. Good idea. You have enough for everyone? Chrono asked as he looked at Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke and Kakashi. I do, Emerald replied. Just don't give any to them three just yet, Kakashi said. Chrono looked puzzled until he looked at the three. He then saw that two of the three were staring at the food. You know, that's kinda cruel, you know. Starving them, Chrono said as he undid the pole's grip by magic. Sasuke and Sakura looked puzzled as Naruto rushed over to Emerald and Nino. Why did you do that? Sakura asked. I have something different in mind. Come over and eat, Chrono muttered as he pulled out the bells and tossed them to Sakura and Sasuke. Will it have to do something with teamwork? Kakashi whispered. Yup, it does, Chrono replied back. The pair caught the bells and ran over to the picnic site as Emerald and Nino finished setting up the food. Jafar looked at Sasuke before sitting down. Everyone sat down and grabbed some food before Chrono sprang the test on the Genins. Okay, Sakura, Naruto, Sasuke. I'll give you both a test, Chrono muttered as the air condensed in the middle to form 20 people. With a gap, 3 of the air people was surrounded by the others. One kunai was thrown at you, and your teammate that the kunai is aimed at is fighting another person. This kunai is laced with poison and is also aimed at the head. But at the same time, the general of the group is wounded and is retreating. Do you save your friend or kill your enemy? Chrono asked. I'd save my friends. Those who abandon the rules is trash. But those who abandon their friends is worse the trash. Naruto stated. Sasuke nodded as Sakura nodded just to follow Sasuke. Well then, as of today, we are Team 7. We start our first mission tomorrow. Kakashi said as he smiled his 3 new subordinates. In any case, let's eat. Naruto said as he grabbed some of the food that was prepared, which happened to be foray-style roasted ham with cranberry sauce. Everyone else decided to try some of the food, only Naruto. Kakashi, without ever removing his mask, Sakura and Sasuke were the only one that had their eyes widened to the taste. This is good, Naruto exclaimed. Where did you learn to cook this? Sakura asked. It's a basic dish in Fara, HMPH. Emerald said before Chrono and Jafar covered her mouth. Emerald, we still can't trust them yet. Chrono muttered quietly. We can easily become captives here. Jafar tagged on. Team 7 looked oddly at the 3 while Kakashi suddenly looked interested. That's something. I'll keep an eye out for a chance to talk to Emerald. Kakashi thought as he continued eating his food. Eventually, everyone finished eating the picnic and packed up. Naruto, meet me here tonight. I'll teach you with Nino and the others. Chrono whispered. Naruto smiled and nodded. Chrono couldn't help but smile also as he patted his head. The group save for Naruto. Chrono and his group parted ways as they went back to Naruto's apartment. On the way over, Hirono saw a white-eyed girl blushing at Naruto and hid back behind a fence. Guys, head back to Naruto's place for now. Chrono said. Is anything wrong? Jafar asked. Nah, I just want a walk for now. Chrono said. Okay, Nino, do me a favor and give Naruto the general basic about our ability. Chrono said. Okay, come on Naruto, I'll teach you a lot. Nino said as she grabbed Naruto and dragged toward his apartment with Emerald and Jafar following. Chrono then flapped his wings and flew over the fence, seeing the girl looking out of the fence and looking at the spot that Chrono, Naruto and the rest of his group was. Chrono had a small smile before speaking up. You know, if you wanted to talk to Naruto, all you had to do was come out to us. The white-eyed girl jumped slightly as she looked up. I'm sorry, the girl replied as Chrono landed. No need. Did you want to talk to me? Chrono asked. No, the girl replied. Jafar, no. Nino, no. Emerald, no. Sorry. The girl replied. You wanted to talk to Naruto? Chrono asked as he watched her reaction. The girl blushed as she nodded. Chrono then had a rough idea on her situation. What's your name anyways? Chrono asked. The girl backed up slightly before answering. Hinata. Hyuga Hinata. Hinata answered. Nice to meet you. I'm Chrono. I have an idea. How about you come with me tonight? Chrono said. Anyo. What are we going to do tonight? Hinata asked. Just take a walk in the training area. In any case, meet me at the training ground over there. Chrono replied smiling like a devil while pointing out the training ground he was at. Hi, Hinata replied as she turned and walked away. She'll be interesting to watch. Could use courage though. Chrono muttered as he walked back to Naruto's apartment. The day waned off to the night as Chrono told Nino and Naruto to head off toward the training ground ahead of him. The pair complied as they left with Jafar following them. He then left. A few minutes after Nino and Naruto left with Emerald at his side. Soon enough, Hinata saw Scene walking toward Training Ground 7. Chrono decided to get her with them. Hey Hinata, Chrono called out. The white eyes of Hinata turned to see him. Chrono-san, I thought we are going to take a walk. Hinata said quietly. Who is she? Emerald asked. Oh, Hinata, meet Emerald. Emerald, Hinata, CHR. Ono said as Emerald held out her hand for a handshake. Hinata shook Emerald's hand and smiled a bit. Now that the introduction is finished, how about we get to the training ground? Chrono said. Walking there, Hinata asked. Nah, I promised a friend to train him and I just figured that you could help him out. Chrono answered. I don't know, but I'll do my best. Hinata nervously answered. That's all we can ask from you Hinata. Emerald said as she gave her a reassuring smile. The pair started walking and soon enough, they reached the training ground where Chrono saw the outlines of Nino, Jafar, and Naruto. Yo, We're here, Chrono called out. Nino and Naruto turned to see Chrono and his group and smiled. I told Naruto the basics. Nino replied. Behind Chrono, Hinata, upon hearing Naruto's name, started to blush hard. Hinata, Emerald asked in concern. Hinata, Naruto, I chose the both of you to learn the fighting style that is for no. Naruto, since I fought you earlier and beat you easily, you should work with Jafar on your fighting style. With your Kage Bushin, you can easily become a feared opponent if you practice. Chrono stated. Naruto smiled widely as Hinata smiled softly for Naruto. Naruto-kun, Hinata said as Chrono continued speaking. Hinata, I have not fought you. But judging your stance, it looks like you know a fighting style. Am I right? Chrono asked. Hi, Jukin. Hinata replied. Then me and Nino will help you learn some of our abilities. Emerald, you don't mind learning some close-quarter combat, do you? Chrono said. No, I actually was getting around to learning that. Emerald answered honestly. Work with Jafar and we'll get there. Chrono said as he patted Naruto on the back. Just as Chrono's hand touched Naruto's back, a surge of red chakra erupted and it slammed into both Naruto and Chrono, knocking both people out. Chrono's eyes glowed blue as a bit of his energy went into Naruto. Chrono, Emerald and Nino exclaimed. Naruto-kun, Hinata exclaimed as she rushed over to him. Naruto's mind. Naruto groaned as he got up and rose to his feet. He saw Chrono laying next to him. So he walked over and shook him. Chrono, wake up, Naruto muttered as he shook Chrono. Naruto noticed that Chrono had his staff and sword flay, he had nothing of his stuff. Chrono groaned as he got up and staggered a bit. Where are we? Chrono asked. I don't know, but it looks like a sewer. Naruto replied as he looked around. Chrono looked around, saw the same thing. In any case, we better look for a way out. Chrono said. Just after Chrono said that, a song started to come into the area. La 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 la, drop that sword when you come back. As I approach you, my own reflection from the sword breaks my heart. La 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 la, when you first entered my chamber, I was not a bit surprised. For deep in my heart your love was already residing in it. La 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 la, Don T, close your eyes. Let me stay forever lost in your eyes, for you are my master, foe. You are my master, you are forever the master of the Black Rose. Chrono and Naruto turned to see a lady with red fox ears, hair and 9 tails in a skin-tight Kimiko walking toward them. Chrono placed one of his hand on his sword that he just realized that was there. Who are you? Chrono demanded. I hope you were listening, Naruto. The girl said with a seductive smile. Naruto nodded dumbly as he stood behind Chrono. Abbot, I want to tell you to stay away from him, God of War, the girl retorted. Why did you call him that, and who are you? Naruto yelled as he raised his fist at the girl. He is the God of War. Anyone from the other realm knows about him and his crime. As for me, I am Kyuubi. Kyuubi replied. What does she mean? Naruto asked as Chrono sweated a bit. I'll tell you later. But first thing first, where are we? Chrono demanded. Inside Naruto's mind. Kyuubi replied. What? How do we get out of here? Naruto asked. You just have to wake up. Kyuubi replied. What's the catch? Chrono asked. Why, nothing. Just this. Kyuubi said as a blast of her chakra slammed into the pair of them and the chakra was absorbed into Naruto. Naruto's form shivered as his human bod morphed into a large fox the size of a horse with one tail before shifting back into his human form with a minor difference. Blonde fox ears erupted from the top of his head and a blonde tail erupted from his tailbone. Chrono managed to get a word out before he fainted. You bitch. The pair both woke up. But the difference began to make itself known as Naruto screamed out in pain as his body started to stir. Naruto-kun, Hinata exclaimed as she saw his skin turn into fur and his size grew to the point that he can easily line up with the tips of the trees as 2 tails formed. Chrono, meanwhile, groaned as he got up to a standing position. Chrono, Emerald, Nino, Jafar, and Hinata exclaimed as they backed off from Naruto in his new form. Geez, we have to settle this before the Hokage gets here. Chrono gritted. What do you mean? A voice asked behind him. Chrono grumbled as he turned to see Sarutobi with a group of Anbu with him. One of the Anbu member was Yugo. I don't know. 1 second. I just patted Naruto on the back, the next he's at least 20 feet high due to a lady inside his mind blasting me and him with some red stuff. Chrono replied. Anbu, secure the area. We have to stop Naruto. Sarutobi commanded. Anbu responded by dispersing around the training area and prepared to use a jutsu when Chrono walked toward Naruto. Chrono, Sarutobi exclaimed. Jafar, Nino, Emerald. Clear this area. Hokage, you wanted to know the answer to the question I gave you yesterday. Chrono said as he stopped walking. Flashback. Asterisk. That is something personal only that us four know about. If you want to know what these two scars mean, you have to pass my test. I'll give you one chance for an answer. Chrono replied. The question would be, Sarutobi asked. Suppose Air was another race besides humans and they seek to conquer. You are a part of that race and you are against their ideals as the opposite side only wants to live. Are you willing to abandon your kin, family, and friends to protect the other race? Chrono replied. Flashback end. Chrono glowed blue before he spoke again. I'm not a human. I'm a dragon. With that, everyone except for Nino, Jafar, and Emerald gasped as Chrono's form started to change also. His wings grew in length and size as his human body grew scales and a tail before the transformation stopped, easily taller than Naruto's Kyuubi form. So this is what he was hiding from me. That's why he gave the questions. You are wiser than you look. Sarutobi said with a small smile. Chrono let off a loud roar that woke the entire village up and soon enough every ninja above Genin reached the site. Hokage-sama, let us strike down the Kyuubi and the other demon. One random Chunin yelled out. I forbid it. The other being is helping us. Sarutobi yelled. Are you crazy? Those demons will kill us. The same Chunin exclaimed before the wind got knocked out of him by Jafar, who was beside him in a heartbeat without the majority of the ninja crowd knowing. The energy stone Nino had glowed as Chrono's voice spoke from it. Nino, get an illusion up and I can take Naruto out. Chrono replied. Okay Chrono. Nino replied as she started chanting. Everyone stood back as the wind stirred around Nino and the transformed Naruto looked around as he saw visions of images passing at a rapid pace, confusing him. Chrono saw his CE and flew into Naruto and opened his Ma to unleash an energy blast. The blast smacked Naruto point blank as it forced him into a daze long enough for him to revert back to his regular form. Sarutobi. I instantly walked up to Naruto and kneeled beside him as Chrono reverted back to his regular form. Naruto. Chrono muttered as he walked up to him with Emerald, Nino, Jafar, and Hinata following him. Naruto groaned a bit before opening an eye. Where am I? Naruto asked. Don't worry, we're awake, Chrono assured before he looked at Sarutobi. The look in the aged Hokage's eyes was lethal to all non-fighters. Chrono took the message and walked over to Sarutobi. What do you want to know? Chrono asked. This is better spoken in my office. Sarutobi said with no room for arguments. Chrono understood as he looked over to Nino, Jafar, and Emerald. The three nodded. We'll keep an eye over Hinata and Naruto. Nino said looking at the blonde boy. Take them to Naruto's apartment. Sarutobi commanded. Nino and her group nodded as they picked up Naruto and went away with Emerald, Hinata, and Jafar following. Chrono nodded as he followed Sarutobi by air as the aged Hokage jumped from rooftop to the Hokage tower. Once there, Sarutobi opened the door to his office and the pair entered. Chrono stood in front of the desk as Sarutobi sat in his chair. So, tell me more about you. Our unique form and what you meant by you being a dragon. Sarutobi muttered. Well, it started with this war and Chrono then launched into the entire history of his past and the pain that he went through. His conversation then went into a lib as he spoke about his time with Lin and the Kalen uprising. Soon after that, Chrono dove into Nergal war with him, Eliwood, and Hector. The story ended at midnight with Chrono's escape from this execution and his appearance here. Sarutobi's mind was nearly blown out of the window after hearing Chrono's story. That's quite some story you have there. You being a god and sacrificing yourself to help humans out. Sarutobi muttered quietly. In any case, that's my story. The scar you saw on me is my only proof besides me turning into a dragon. Nino, Jafar, Emerald and I are strangers in this village and hearing that person's words sounds like my group won't be able to live long if it continues. Chrono muttered. That's an easy case. We can say that you have a bloodline limit. I'll do the same for Naruto. Sarutobi said. Also one more thing. When I was in Naruto's mind, I met up with a lady that claimed that her name was Kyuubi. Why was she in Naruto? Chrono asked. Sarutobi sighed heavily and Chrono knew he was in for a heavy answer. Kyuubi was a demon. She attacked Out Village and nearly tore Konoha into pieces until the Yondaime Hokage sacrificed his life to seal her into Naruto. Ever since then, everyone treated him like he was Kyuubi. Sarutobi replied. That's insane. Chrono muttered. But it's the truth. I had to put in Oz for Naruto to have a chance and grow up like the other kids in the village. Sarutobi said. His life won't be easier anytime soon. But I'll help him live his life to the fullest. Chrono stated as he turned and started for the door. Sarutobi stopped him with a parting sentence. Show him a life where people like him can live without fear. I'll try my best. Chrono replied as he opened the door and exited. Chrono left the Hokage's tower and flew back to Naruto's apartment where he saw Hinata waiting outside for him. Chrono-kun. Hinata said shily. Don't worry. Is Naruto resting up? Chrono asked. Hinata nodded as she stared at his wings. Well, it's too late for you to head back to your home. How about you stay here for the night? Chrono asked. Anyo. Hi. Hinata said as a blush grew a bit more. That's settled then. You can sleep with Nino and Emerald. Jafar and I will sleep outside. Chrono said as he entered the apartment. Nino, Emerald, and Jafar walked over to him. What did the Marquis say? Emerald asked. He's going to cover my and Naruto's transformation as a bloodline limit. Chrono replied. Okay then. Jafar, you and I are sleeping outside tonight. Chrono muttered. Jafar nodded as the two men walked outside. Eventually, everyone managed to get some sleep. Next morning, the sunlight hit Chrono as he woke up. He looked around and briefly saw Naruto leaving the apartment. Hey Naruto, why are you up so eerily? Chrono asked. I have missions today, Naruto exclaimed as he walked off to the Hokage tower. Soon afterward, the door opened again and Hinata came out of the apartment. Hinata, you have missions also, Chrono mumbled again after trying to get some sleep. Chrono-kun, I do, Hinata replied. I guess I'll go with you today and teach you a bit about my skills. Chrono muttered as he looked around. Jafar was nowhere to be found and Chrono shrugged it off as him training. He stood up and stretched for a bit before Hinata started to walk with Chrono flying beside her. As the pair made their way through, various shopkeepers nodded and muttered, Chrono Dono. Is everyone in this village always call someone with a bloodline, Dono? Chrono asked. I'm not sure, Hinata replied. Chrono nodded vaguely as he launched Hinata into his world of magical knowledge and by the time they reached the Hokage tower, Hinata memorized the basics of magic. The pair entered the tower and meet up with her team, which was a boy with a dog, another boy with glasses and a lady with red eyes. Hinata. The dog boy said. Kiba-kun, Shino-kun. Hinata said as she walked over to the team. So you must be the boy whose team beat the Anbu member. I'm Kurenai. Kurenai said. Nice to meet you. I'm Chrono. The dragon boy said. You can't be that strong. The Anbu person was weak. I can beat you easily. Kiba said before Shino placed his hand on Kiba's shoulder. Don't. Chrono has briefly demonstrated a portion of his true strength just by controlling the elements. I won't be surprised if he knocked you out without even moving. Shino stated. Besides, the Anbu lady gave me a harder time than you would. Hinata, I'll see you later for your lessons. Chrono said as he left the area. Outside of the Hokage's tower, Chrono saw Emerald passing the tower. Emerald, what are you doing here? Chrono asked. I was just looking around for a weapon shop so I can get a sword. Emerald said smiling. I guess I can kill some time. Let's check that shop there. The 10 swords EH. Chrono muttered as he and Emerald walked into the building. LFS were littered with kunais and tags and all other weaponry as the pair entered the shop. At the counter, sat a girl with twin bun hair girl in a pink chinos shirt. Hello, Emerald asked. Hello, welcome to the 10 swords. How can I help you? The girl asked. My friend here is looking for a sword. Chrono replied. Oh, I can help you there. My name is 1010. 1010 said. I'm Chrono and Emerald is the one that wants a sword. Chrono said. Emerald smiled as Ten took Emerald to a section of the store. The door opened behind Chrono. He turned to see Jafar there. What are you doing here, Jafar? Chrono asked. Just to see the weapons. Jafar muttered before he looked around. Chrono sighed as he waited for the two. After 20 minutes, Ten and Emerald came out from the section. With a katana that had an emblem of fire in its sheath. I got your payment. If you need anyone to help you out, just talk to me, okay? Ten stated as she handed the katana to Emerald. Jafar Appy read back from his section of weapons and looked at Emerald. I'll help you with some basic stances, attacks and defense. Jafar muttered. Thanks, Jafar. Where's Nino? Emerald asked. Over at the hospital playing with the kids. Jafar replied as he left the shop to pick up Nino. Well, let's get back to the apartment. Chrono muttered. Yeah, let's go. Emerald said cheerfully as she linked arms with Chrono. The pair left the shop and took a road toward Naruto's apartment. It's been a while since we have been in a peaceful place. Emerald said. Yeah, I just wonder what Eliwood is doing. Chrono muttered. I'm sure Ninian and Eliwood is doing fine. It's Hector and Lin that worries me. Emerald pointed out. Yeah, that's true. How they got together is something close to a mystery to me. Chrono laughed a bit as they reminisced back on the old days. Eventually, they made it back to Naruto's apartment where said owner of the apartment was waiting for them. So Naruto, ready to learn some of our style? Chrono asked. Yup, I saw that Hinata girl and told her to head to the training ground. Naruto said. Let's get going then. Chrono said. This schedule went on for another week until Naruto's outburst. During that time, Chrono managed to get Naruto working on his newly acquired transformation, but not without much success. Hinata excelled in the magical arts that he and Nino taught. Hurin was making fire out of air quickly as Naruto's battle style quickly improved. The training schedule was interrupted when Naruto decided he had enough of his D-ranked missions. 1 week later, Hokage Tower *. I had it with the cat. I want a real mission. Naruto yelled as Chrono, Nino, Jafar, Emerald and the rest of Team 7 closed their ears a bit. You just became Genins just a week ago. Iruka mumbled as he pulled a scroll with a label, D, on it. Well, I'm sure that Sakura and Sasuke have the same idea. Chrono pointed out as he looked at the pair. Sakura flinched slightly as Sasuke didn't show any signs of acknowledgement. Well, how about we let them go on a C-ranked mission? Sarutobi said sitting beside Iruka. Yes, Naruto exclaimed as Kakashi looked at his team with some amusement. Well then, bring him in. Sarutobi said as the door behind Chrono opened. Everyone turned to see a man with a sake bottle in his hand and slightly drunk. Everyone, this is Tazuna. Sarutobi said. That's Master Super Tazuna. Tazuna corrected in his drunken state. It don't matter. What's their mission? Chrono asked. They are to take Tazuna back to Wave Country and protect him from any bandit attacks. Sarutobi muttered. Why give me a group of Genins? The orange-looking boy looks like he'll chicken out first. Tazuna said. Naruto snapped as he rushed to punch Tazuna. Kaka, she grabbed on Naruto's jacket and held him back. Naruto, you don't want to kill our client before our mission started. Kakashi sighed. Besides, killing your client out of a fit of anger won't look good for the future Hokage. Nino tagged on. Nino's comment diffused Naruto in a heartbeat. I'm also going to send Team 8 with you. They have already been briefed and will be waiting for you at the main gate. Chrono, I would like you and your group to go with them to see what a mission here means. Sarutobi said. Only Chrono and his group caught the meaning behind the aged Hokage's words as Team 7 and Chrono's group left. Outside the building, Naruto went ahead to start packing his stuff as Sakura also left to pack her stuff. Nino and Emerald followed Sakura with Jafar following Kakashi. Sasuke suddenly grabbed Chrono's wrist and pulled out a kunai and held it in front of Chrono's face. I want to know how you did those jutsus. Sasuke muttered angrily. Chrono's only reply was a sudden blast of dust and wind in Sasuke's eyes as he knocked the kunai out of his hands and shoved him away. I won't teach you anything. I can see that you only want it to further your own ambitions. See, Hirono muttered before taking off into the air. Sasuke rubbed the dust out of his eyes and looked around just to see Chrono flying away. He grunted in anger as he marched off to his house to pack his stuff. Chrono landed at the main gate and grumbled by the recent turn of event. What's with that jerk Sasuke? I bet he never place a knife on a fellow villager. Chrono mumbled. Unknown to him, Ino seemed to be walking past the gate when she heard Chrono speak. She heard Chrono and stomped over to him. Don't call Sasuke a jerk. Baka, Ino yelled in his face. Who are you? Chrono muttered as he looked at Ino. It's Ino for you, Ino replied. I stand by what I say. If you want to change my opinion, beat me up then. Chrono replied. Ino shifted nervously. After seeing Chrono's team easily beat an Anbu member, she took note not to cross his paths. But didn't mean that she would stop and degrade him. In any case, Sasuke can beat you any day. Ino bluntly stated. Really? Because I just beat him yesterday and just earlier. Kakashi, Sakura, and Naruto can vouch for me. Chrono retorted even though he was the main cause of Sakura going out cold, Naruto being cut up a bit and knocking Sasuke out. You, Sasuke. Ha 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 ha. Ino laughed. In any case, you better beat it before I send you back to your place in pieces. Chrono grumbled, having enough of Ino. Ino looked offended before marking off just as Team 7 and Team 8 came along with Tazuna. Are we ready? Kakashi asked. As ready as we'll ever be. Kiba exclaimed as Akamaru barked. Naruto-kun. Hinata whispered as she stood beside Chrono. Jafar, Nino, Emerald. Any trouble? Chrono asked. We had no trouble. Sakura brought so much makeup I had to dump them. Emerald said as Sakura simply looked miffed before floating back to Sasuke's side. Hinata, Naruto, I'll teach you two along the way. Chrono said. The said pair nodded. Well, we should get going then. Kurenai said with a warm smile. Everyone nodded as Chrono flew beside the group as they left the gates of Konoha. The trip was somewhat loud to everyone. The reason why, in Chrono's opinion, was Kiba and Sakura. Man, I am thankful that you are not like that Jafar. Chrono mumbled as he watched Kiba boasting loudly while Sakura hovered around Sasuke. Kurenai and Kakashi was beside Tazuna with Shino. Naruto, Hinata and Chrono's group was somewhat behind Kaka. She and Kurenai as they continued teaching them in their fighting style, although Chrono defused a ticking bomb early with Sasuke who demanding them to teach him. That only got Sasuke a new bruise to nurse from Nino and Emerald. Who didn't take to Sasuke's way of asking very nicely. I hope we can fight someone soon. Naruto said. What can you fight with? You'll just stand there cowering in fear. Kiba retorted back. Kiba-kun. Hinata exclaimed as she looked at Naruto. Knock it off. Chrono mumbled while he kept his temper in check. Or what? Kiba retorted. Or I'll send Jafar at you. Chrono retorted before looking at Jafar. He then saw Jafar's dead serious face as he was looking at the ground. What's up? Nino asked. It hasn't rained and there's the puddle here. Jafar replied. Everyone stopped and turned to see the said puddle. Hinata, Kiba, Shino, Sakura, Naruto, Sasuke. Protect Kanuza. Kurenai said. The said genin took up their stations around the said man as Kakashi, Kurenai. Chrono and his group prepared to fight. The water grew until it resembled two human shape. Suddenly, the two figures rushed out OT Kakashi and ensnared him in a sharp chain. The pair pulled and Kakashi was severed. One down. One of the chained men said before rushing at Kurenai. Chrono sighed as he snapped his fingers. The earth rose slightly and tripped the chained men, causing them to stumble forward. Sasuke took this advantage to pull out a kunai and shuriken and throw them at the chain with the shuriken first. The chain was pinned down to the earth, effectively causing the chained men to fall to the dirt again. They quickly disconnected the chain and rushed past Kurenai and toward the genin group before three things happened. Kakashi jumped out of the bushes and clothal. In one of the men as Kurenai activated a genjutsu and forced that ninja asleep while Chrono and Jafar rushed in and tackled the second attacker, effectively knocking him backward just enough so Chrono would pin his sword on his throat. The rest of the group save Shino was slightly shaken at the brief fight that happened. Naruto and Sakura was shaken while Kiba looked around hoping for more enemies to come out and attack. That should stop them. Now then, Kakashi. Can you take him? Chrono muttered. Kakashi nodded as he seized the man and dragged him over to a tree with Kurenai while Sasuke landed and smirked. Are you okay, Scaredy Cat? Sasuke taunted as he looked at Naruto. Naruto got highly offended. Just as he started to open his mouth, Nino and Emerald placed a hand on him. Don't worry Naruto, you'll degrade next time. Nino muttered with a smile. Naruto nodded slightly as Chrono and the others came back. Kakashi did not have good news. Tanuza, you didn't tell us that there was going to be ninjas on this mission. You were very lucky that none of our pupils were killed. Kakashi muttered. This mission is classified at a B-ranked mission. Kurenai muttered. Well, we can't afford an expensive B-ranked mission. We can only afford a C-ranked mission. Tanuza said. That caught Chrono's interest. What do you mean you can only afford C-ranked mission? Isn't your country decently well off? Chrono asked. Well, there's this man named Gato and he's controlling all the water shipping routes. Because of that, most of Wave Island is poor. So I decided to make a bridge. But to then started sending ninjas after the workers. Everyone was injured until I'm the only one left. I had to gather up the little remaining money I had and hire some ninjas. Tanuza said. That is something. Emerald muttered as she looked over to Chrono, Kakashi, and Kurenai. What do you think Chrono? Nino asked. Sounds like they need some liberation. Chrono replied. Emerald and Nino smiled. What about you? Jafar muttered looking at Kurenai and Kakashi. We'll leave it up to the Genins. Ophically, we should turn back to Konoha. Kurenai said. No, we can handle it, Kiba exclaimed. We have 10 able fighters with us. We can handle it, Shino said. Hi, Hinata muttered quietly. Naruto and Sakura nodded as Sasuke smirked. Then it's settled, Kakashi muttered to a relieved Tanuza. Eventually, the night came early to the group as everyone set camp up. Naruto and Hinata saw Chrono and his group already finished setting up their camp. Chrono, can we continue our lessons? Naruto asked eagerly. Chrono looked and saw that Sasuke and the rest of the group was looking at him. Chrono sighed. Not tonight Naruto. Chrono muttered as he saw Jafar standing there. You keeping watch Jafar? Nino asked looking at him. Yes, Jafar replied. Okay, night Jafar, Emerald said as she and Nino went into the tent and fell asleep. Everyone quickly fell asleep until Chrono was the last one who was awake with Jafar. Jafar, care to help me in a matchmaking attempt? Chrono asked with a slight smirk on his face. Jafar nodded as he got up. I'll get Hinata. You get Naruto in his sleeping bag. Chrono said. The pair went and retrieved their target and set them down. Chrono then quickly went to work as he placed Hinata in the sleeping bag with Naruto and he made sure had Naruto's arms were in a position that he was hugging her. After all was said and done, Chrono smiled as he made Jafar swear not to reveal their hand in this before he went to sleep. Mindscape. Naturo. The sight of the newly changed area met Naruto as he looked around the open green plains. His eyes explored the plains until his eyes laid on a familiar and somewhat hated sights of Kyuubi. Naruto, you came to me, Kyuubi said as she turned to face him. What do you want? Naruto asked. I just want to hold you close to me. Kyuubi replied with a smile. Naruto backed up. Why should I trust you? You made my life a living hell. Naruto retorted. As soon as the words left his mouth, he instantly regretted them as Kyuubi started to tear up. It's not my fault. It was him. His eyes made me go crazy. He wouldn't stop saying that Konoha needed to die. Kyuubi sniffed. Naruto looked unsure on what to do and decided to at least pat her on her shoulder. Kyuubi sniffed a bit before smiling. Thank you. Just be careful of the traitor god. Kyuubi said before Naruto faded out. Path to wave. Morning. Hinata was the first one to wake up. She groaned as her eyes slowly adjusted to the morning light. As soon as her eyes focused, her sights closed in on a blonde-haired boy in very close quarters with her. I slept with Naruto-kun. I slept with Naruto-kun. I slept with Naruto-kun. Hinata's D was about to explode when Kiba came out of his tent yawning and spotted the pair. What the hell are you doing Naruto? Kiba yelled as he ran over to the pair. Everyone woke up and everyone but Naruto ran out to see the commotion. Naruto saw his position and jumped out of the sleeping bag and rushed behind Chrono and Jafar. Geez. Kiba, learn subtle message of the moment. Chrono mumbled as he saw the sight. Sakura looked at the scene and witfully wished that Chrono would do that to Sasuke while said boy snorted before heading back into the tent to prepare for the day. Soon enough, he group is back on the road with Naruto walking with Chrono's group. The road soon led to a body of water as they saw 3 boats. Expecting us are we? Kurenai asked as Tanuza walked to the boat. Everyone got into the boats and soon enough, they started to jet toward wave country. Chrono flew beside them as Kakashi decided to ask him a question. Chrono, I want to know something. Kakashi said. Go ahead. Chrono replied. Complete mastery of an element requires the user to undergo training until they can use the element to a certain extent. Then here you come, only 18-ish years old. LD and already you have mastery of all 4 elements. How did you do that? The white-haired man asked. Everyone looked at Chrono wondering how he was going to answer the question. Sometimes I wonder myself. Chrono replied as he made the air around him compress a bit before flying below the water and up repeatedly. Looks like you are not going to get any answers from him anytime soon. Kiba muttered with a snort. We have our secrets, Kiba. Chrono is no exception. He'll tell us when he's ready. Shino replied. Yeah, his secrets is too sensitive for anyone to know at the moment. Jafar stated. What is his secret? Sasuke asked. We don't even know his secret. Nino said as she looked at the bubbled form of Chrono under the water. We met him at one point or another. Out of all the things he said, he never once mentions his secrets. Emerald said. Chrono overheard the conversation through the energy stones and replied with a quiet, thank you. Soon enough, fog rolled into the area and soon enough, an unfinished bridge came out of the fog. Is that it? Hinata asked. Yup, Tanuza replied. So we are to protect you on this bridge? Sakura asked looking at the said bridge. That's the mission, Sasuke replied. They passed under the bridge to see a beautiful port village. The sun shined calmly as they ported and disembarked. Chrono landed on the deck and looked around. This is a calm village. Hinata said. Yeah, I hope our trip to Tanuza's house is uneventful. Jafar muttered. Yeah, Nino said as everyone followed Tanuza out of the port and took a path toward his village. On the way over, a dense fog engulfed the group. Of all the luck we have, we had to deal with fog. Chrono muttered. Is it always this foggy on Wave Island? Shino asked. It's not this foggy. Tanuza replied looking around. Naruto heard something in the bushes and on reflex, tossed a kunai toward the bushes. Everyone stood still as Chrono activated his sky eyes and searched the area that Naruto threw the kunai at. There's nothing there, Chrono stated as Kakashi walked over to the bushes to see a white rabbit. The fur is white only in winter. It must have been kept indoors. Kakashi thought before he heard a swoosh. Everyone down. Kakashi yelled as he pulled out a kunai and jumped over the flying blade. Chrono and Jafar pulled out their swords and also jumped over the blade while everyone else hit the dirt to avoid the spinning blade of death. Everyone got back up to see the blade land in a masked man's hands. Who are you? Kakashi demanded. Hokage Kakashi, master of over 1,000 ninjutsus. Also known as the copycat, Kakashi. I'm honored, the masked man said. You're Zabuza, the demon of the mist. Kurenai stated as she pulled out her kunai. I'd watch your back if I were you. Zabuza said. Jafar got the sinking feeling, turned and quickly blocked several fireballs that nearly slammed into him. That's what I expect from a mere human like you. Another voice called out from the mist. Chrono, teammate, and Emerald turned to see another winged man walking toward them. Unlike Zabuza, he had 2 kunais already out as his black ninja gear came custom with wing S. Lits for his gray foreboding wings to come out. Who are you? Chrono demanded as he eyed the new man. I'm like you, Chrono. A traitor to our kind and friend to none. But for you, just call me Zuma. Zuma replied. Zuma, the god of death. Chrono muttered visibly going white. Jafar and Emerald took note of this. Chrono, we can beat him. Emerald said. No he can't. I am far stronger than the god of war. Zuma said. The Genins looked at Chrono, then to Zuma. So, let's fight for our lives. Zuma muttered as he pointed at Chrono. A sudden pillar of fire erupted below him, not giving him enough time to protect himself from the fire. All of the Genins looked shocked as Chrono came flying out of the pillar. Zuma took to the air and rushed toward Chrono, who prepared his sword and magic for the attack. Emerald prepared her bow and arrow while Nino started chanting a spell for an illusion. The Genins were split on either helping Kurenai and Kakashi or aiding Chrono and his group. Over it all, Zuma screamed his battle cry. Let this be your requiem. The field was silent as the tension rose. Both sides faced the other with hatred in their eyes. The two groups sprang into action as Kakashi, Kurenai, and Team 7 took on Zabuza while Chrono and his group along with Team 8 attacked Zuma. Chrono's battle. Chrono rushed in with Jafar as the pair of them unleashed several slashes toward Zuma. Zuma easily dodged the slashes and kicked Jafar in the face before backhanding Chrono to the dirt. Emerald and Nino unleashed a volley of magic and arrows toward Zuma while Kiba rushed up to him raising his fist to punch him. Quick in a blink of an eye, Zuma dodged the volley of arrows and slammed his fist into Kiba's gut, sending him skidding backward. It's useless. I outstrip you all in battle. Zuma yelled. We'll see about that. Chrono yelled as he and Jafar rushed up to Zuma. Chrono unleashed a burst of fire above Zuma, forcing him to fly near the ground where Afar and Chrono started their sword duel with Zuma. Kakashi and Kurenai's fight. Zabuza ran through some hand signs as he eyed the two Junins and the Genin team. Finishing up his hand seals, he spoke, Kurigakur no Jutsu. Mist rolled into the area as his form disappeared. Kakashi pulled up his Hitate while Kurenai ran through hand seals and tried to put up a Genjutsu, but with no success. His chakra is flooding the area. Genjutsu is useless. Kurenai whispered as she pulled out a kunai. Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke. Formation C, Kakashi declared. The three nodded as they surrounded Tanuza and Kurenai covered the last open spot that was left. Be on your guard, Kurenai said before Zabuza's voice called out from the mist. Head, heart, kidney, liver, lungs. Which one do I want to target first? A surge of killing intent slammed into Kakashi's side of the battle, but he and Kurenai remained unaffected by the amount there was. Sakura was shaking badly as Naruto and Sasuke looked nervous. Don't worry, I never let a comrade die, Kakashi muttered as he noticed his Genin team shaken. A sudden blast of killer intent came from Chrono's side of the fight, bringing relief to Team 7's Genins. Looks like your friends aren't doing so well, Zabuza muttered as he appeared behind Kakashi with his sword out to slice his head off. Kakashi ducked under the slash as he kicked Zabuza away from Tazuna and into the water. He followed Zabuza to that water, but that proved to be a fatal move as Zabuza ran through some hand seals and slammed his hand into the water. An orb of water engulfed Kakashi and trapped him. Chrono's fight. Under the wall of fire, Jafar and Chrono were knocked backward as Zuma kicked them both at the midsection of their chest. Nino unleashed a fire spell along with Hinata at Zuma as Emerald pulled out her sword and rushed in for the attack. Zuma dodged the blade strike but was struck dead center of his chest by the fire spell. Zuma muttered before knocking Emerald aside and rushing toward Nino for an attack. Bugs surrounded Zuma as Shino walked over to Nino. Are you okay? Shino calmly asked. Yeah, thanks. Nino replied as a massive burst of killer intent killed the bugs off of Zuma. You think you can stop me with bugs? Big mistake. Zuma spat as he launched 3 massive fireballs at Shino and Nino. Look out, Hinata called out. Move, ch. Rono yelled as he shoved the pair aside and pointed his sword out at the fireball. The fireball suddenly rushed into the sword as Chrono cried out, Doragon Kata, Tentu Mokushi, Dragon Style, Counter Sight. Chrono then slashed once as the absorbed fireball was sent at Zuma, who deflected it easily, sending the fireball into the water. Chrono's sword was not so lucky as soon as the swing was finished, the blade shattered. Oh, you absorbed the fireball and sent them back at me Zuma muttered quite amused. Redirecting something big as those fireballs takes up too much energy. Chrono retorted tossing aside the useless blade. Zuma smirked a bit before flying high into the sky. I guess I'll let you live. I would rather kill you when everyone needs you the most, Zuma said before flying away. Kakashi's battle. Kakashi and Zabuza was out on the water staring at each other as Naruto was afloat in the water. Sasuke and Naruto's attempt paid off. Using Kage Bushin and Afuma Kin just to get me out of the water prison that Zabuza imprisoned me in. They are quite something. Let's end this battle then. Zabuza smirked. You know something. That damn. Zabuza started speaking. Eye of yours is pissing me off. Kakashi finished. What? How did you know what I was going to say next? Kakashi finished again. Zabuza then ran around Kakashi with the said man doing the same. It's like he can. Zabuza mentally thought. Read my mind. Kakashi replied again. You can't mimic everything, you damned monkey. Zabuza yelled as he started running through a long list of hand seals. Kakashi copied them perfectly as Zabuza's eyes widened a bit. He then made a Bushin behind him and smirked. Bushin's copy the jutsu user. Zabuza thought before he looked over to Kakashi. Kakashi stood there, but the Bushin that came afterward was of him. What? Zabuza thought as he was visibly shocked to see Kakashi finish his list of seals. Sweden. Suiryuden no Jutsu. The water around him spun as it shot up, tackling the form of a dragon and crashed into Zabuza. The current slammed Zabuza into a tree as Kurenai and the Genins jumped into the trees with Tazuna in tow. Kakashi then took out 4 kunais and threw them, pinning Zabuza to said tree as he appeared beside him with another kunai out. How did you know? Zabuza asked as Chrono and his group came over to them. I saw into the future. Your future is death, Kakashi replied as he went in for the killing strike. A quick thud was heard as a Seven struck Zabuza's neck, causing Zabuza to go limp. Everyone turned to see a masked ninja standing in a tree. Kakashi placed a finger on Zabuza's neck and confirmed that he was dead. Who are you? Chrono asked as Jafar stood in front of them. This feeling. Why does that person feel like a dragon? Chrono thought as the masked ninja replied. I have been hunting Zabuza for some time. I thank you for aiding me. The masked ninja replied as their ninja jumped down and grabbed Zabuza before shunching away. Who was that ninja? Nino asked. A hunter nin from the Mist Village. Kurenai answered. Mist Village? You mean there's more villages like yours? Emerald asked. Yeah, each village are willing to go great length to keep the secret of their village since each body of a ninja holds wealth of information. Kakashi replied as he put the Hitate over his Sharingan. In any case, let's get to your house Tazuna. Kurenai said before everyone saw Kakashi hit the dirt. Kakashi! Everyone exclaimed rushing over to him. Chrono flew up and got Tazuna off the tree before coming over to the rest of the group. He just collapsed due to chakra depletion. He'll be okay with some rest, Kurenai said as she and Tanuza grabbed an arm of Kakashi. My house is just past those patches of trees, Tazuna said as everyone marched. Eventually, the group reached a small house in the clearing as Tazuna smiled. My home, he muttered as he walked up to the door and opened it. Tazuna, welcome back. What happened to that man? The lady asked as she came out of the kitchen. Tazuna walked over to the lady and smiled. Tsunami, they are ninjas from the Leaf. They will liberate us from Gato, Tazuna said as the Leaf Nins and Chrono's group entered the house. Let's get Kakashi into a room. Jafar, scout the surrounding area. Shino, Kiba, Akamaru. Go with Jafar and meet back here in 10 minutes. Chrono stated taking command. Why should I listen to you? Kiba demanded. Kiba, listen to him. He knows what he is doing, Kurenai said as Tsunami led her to a room. Jafar, you know what to look for. I also want a report on the condition of the village. Shino, Kiba, scout the area for enemies, Chrono said. Jafar nodded as he, Shino and Kiba left the house. Chrono, Emerald, and the remainder of Team 7 and 8 went to the kitchen and sat down. What to do now? Chrono muttered as he looked at Naruto trying to win Sakura's heart while Sakura fawning over Sasuke, who was ignoring her antics while Hinata eyed Naruto and blushed a bit more. A few minutes of waiting and Kurenai came down to the kitchen. So what do we know? Kurenai asked. Once Jafar, Shino and Kiba comes back, we'll get the current condition of the village, Emerald replied as she sat beside Chrono. Right on cue. The door opened and the said 3 came in. Jafar, report, Chrono stated. Jafar nodded as he walked over to Nino. No enemies in the general area. The village is in worse shape than any words can describe. It's almost as bad as the villages we were in under his rule, Jafar muttered, putting a slight more power in the word, his. We'll take a look into it tomorrow. Hinata, Naruto, we're gonna train. We delayed it for too long now, Chrono muttered as he got up. Sasuke left T. He room and secretly exited the house through the window, preparing to follow the group. Naruto, Hinata, and the rest of his group stood up and started for the door when Kurenai placed a hand on his shoulder. Chrono, I will have no more of this. If you have something to teach, teach it to everyone here, Kurenai said. Unlike you and the rest of the village, I am under no obligation to reveal any thing about our fighting style to any and everyone. Chrono replied, but it benefits the village as the whole. I don't understand why you won't let anyone in the village learn your style. Kurenai said, it's because most people here already have a fighting style that they are deeply rooted in. Hinata and Naruto are still finding their own way and we want to help them along. Nino replied. Nino left the house with Naruto and Hinata with Chrono following. Emerald and Jafar was about to leave, then Kurenai coughed a bit. They both stopped and turned to see what she wanted to say. I honestly don't understand him. You guys follow Chrono like he is a god. Even with that Zuma guy came and beat you guys up, you still believed in him. Why do you follow his words even when your knowledge could benefit others? Kurenai asked. It's because he saved me and Nino from an assassination. Jafar simply said as he exited. It's not that he don't want to help your village. He has a hard time opening up. Emerald answered. What do you mean? Kurenai asked. I'm not supposed to tell you a piece of his past. But in a war, his side devised a plan that would bring the war to an end with major destruction to the opposing side. His army enticed him to help them by saying that they would use his power to make a bargain to the other side. He agreed to it and instead they took nearly all of his strength. And created a weapon to start their plan. Chrono never took that deception well. Emerald replied as she left the house. Sasuke saw Emerald leaving and started trailing her. Eventually, her trail led to Chrono, who was already training Hinata and Naruto. He saw Emerald walking over to Chrono as Chrono nodded as his eyes glowed blue. Shoot, Sasuke whispered as he fled the tree to escape the Sky Eye's range. On the ground, Chrono smiled a bit. Nothing around. Okay, Naruto. It looks like your training is paying off since you held your own against Zabuza. Hinata could use a bit more work. But overall, I'm impressed. Both of you took up our fighting style and quickly improved in it. Chrono commented. Yada, Naruto exclaimed as he jumped up and down. Don't be celebrating just yet. Now, the next part is to improve the speed of both style till the point that you can stand your own against one of us for 3 minutes. Jafar muttered. Bring it on. Naruto muttered. Okay. Jafar, entertain him a bit. Hinata, you already have the Jukin. So we'll work with integrating your magical attacks with Jukin so you have a style to call your own. Nino replied. Most of the time was Nt on that until Chrono called Naruto over to help him on his transformation. Chrono was very surprised to see that Naruto already had a good control over his fox form. Nice control at best. I work on the speed of the transformation so you can swap out of each form as quickly as you can. Either ways, it's time to head back. Chrono said. Everyone went back to Tezuna's house and one by one went to sleep, tired from the day's event. Naruto's mind. Kyuubi smiled as she saw Naruto falling asleep. Naruto. The fox chakra flowing through you will lead to my insurrection as well as a new body for me to live in. She muttered as the Mindscape quickly turned to a vague image of Naruto as a girl. Soon, I shall be among the living for you only deserve my love and my protection from Chrono. She muttered as she stretched a bit. Only a bit more longer my love. Next morning. The morning was slightly tense as everyone crammed into Kakashi's room, who woke up from chakra depletion. You okay? Sakura asked. Yeah, but we all have some training to do. Kakashi replied. Why? Zabuza is dead. Kiba muttered. I doubt someone that strong is going down easily. Jafar stated. Kakashi nodded. The weapon the hunter Nin used is odd. 7 has the lowest death chances unless you hit a vital spot. Also, a hunter Nin would only take the head and burn the body. But the hunter Nin we met with took the body altogether. Kakashi muttered. So it was a setup. Sasuke muttered. Kurenai nodded. We'll have to start training Zuma might be with them. Jafar muttered. Yeah, let's get started then. Chrono replied as everyone got up. Tsunami gave Kakashi a crutch for his use as everyone left the house. Everyone went to the training ground that Chrono used the night before. It was there that Kakashi and Kurenai decided to give them a lesson in chakra control and told them to climb a tree with chakra. As the Genin started their training, Kurenai and Kakashi walked over to Chrono and his group who were stretching a bit. Chrono placed both hands on the ground and the dirt bubbled as 2 short swords was formed out of the dirt. How did you do that? Kakashi asked. Since I control the elements, I can use them to my will. I lost my sword in the last fight, so I'm creating mine. Chrono answered. Soon enough, 2 short swords was created and Chrono's group separated and faced each other. You guys ready? We are not aiming to kill, so hold back a bit. Emerald said. Ready. Chrono, Nino, and Jafar replied. A gust of wind passed them as a leaf fell to the ground. Let's go, Chrono yelled. And training started. It has been 2 days since the group from Konoha trained in Wave Country. Training has started and since then, each member has been doing their own thing to improve their chakra control by tree walking as Chrono and his group improved their battle skills. Eventually, Tsunami asked Chrono, Sakura, and Hinata to gather some food for them. Okay, I guess. We are staying here after all. We might as well earn our keep. Chrono muttered as he saw Naruto in his fox form. What do we need to buy? Sakura asked. Oh, some vegetables and fish. Tsunami replied. Hi, we'll get them, Hinata said kindly as the trio left the house with Naruto following them. Halfway there, Chrono had his first view of the village. Was it always this run down? Chrono muttered to himself as he lifted Naruto by wind magic and placed him in Hinata's arms. Hinata held the fox form of Naruto closely as she looked around. I'm not sure if it was always run down, Sakura replied as they entered a supermarket. Everyone was nearly dumbfounded as the shelves that usually held vegetables was bare except for a few small pieces. Where's the produce? Chrono muttered as he walked in. There is no produce ever since Gato took control of the water routes, the shopkeeper replied. But not even enough food to survive. How could he? Hinata whispered. Who is Gato? Chrono asked. He's a shad. Why businessman that controls the ship routes. Since we depend on those routes for our livelihoods, he is charging us 3 times the normal rates just to export food and he barely leave enough food for us, the shopkeeper replied. Just then, 2 hands felt up Sakura and Hinata's backside. Sakura turned her fist in the general direction and clocked the pervert in the face as Hinata got out of Sakura's way. Pervert, Sakura exclaimed. Another hand tugged on Sakura's skirt. Said girl raised her fist to attack the person when she saw a kid no older than 5 holding both hands up as if asking for food. Chrono smiled bitterly as he pulled out his gold bag that he had from his time under Eliwood and Lin and gave the kid 5 gold coin. Sakura added to that by giving the kid some candy. The kid smiled and left promptly. We have to stop Gato, Hinata said. Yeah, Sakura muttered. The question is now how to stop him. Either ways, let's get the food and head back, Chrono replied as he pulled out his healing staff and started healing the random injured that passed by him. Eventually, the trio reached the house they were staying at. It was already getting darker as they entered the house. One of the occupants, a boy named Inari, stared at them before snorting and walking past them. They ignored this and proceeded to the kitchen where everyone was gathered. Looks like Gato is a leech to this area and we need to get rid of him, Chrono muttered. Yeah, but remember that our original mission is to protect Tazuna until the bridge is complete and with Zabuza and his friend out there recovering. We might not know when they could attack again, Kakashi replied. But we have more people, Kiba pointed out as Akamaru barked. Number is not everything, Kurenai replied. In these kind of situation, we should be careful of what they could do next, Shino muttered as Sasuke looked around the kitchen. Why not just crush them? Naruto asked. And risk losing over 6 genins? Not likely, Emerald replied as she looked over to Chrono, who was thinking. We also have to think about Zuma. We had a hard enough time fighting him. Jafar pointed out. That is true, Sakura muttered quietly as the kitchen became quiet. A half an hour passed as dinner was served. Everyone had a front row seat to Sasuke and Naruto's Eat Till You Hurl war. Afterward, Hinata and Naruto looked over to Chrono, as they expected him to teach them something new. Not tonight you two, I have something I want to experiment with. Nino, Emerald, Jafar, Chrono said as the said people got up and left the house. Leaf Nins followed Chrono's group and soon enough reached the training grounds where they saw Emerald, Nino, and Jafar in a triangle surrounding Chrono. What do you think they could be doing? Kurenai asked. I don't know. We don't even know Thier past enough. This could be a great opportunity to learn more about them, Kakashi replied as the Leaf Genins kept quiet watching the four. Out on the field, Chrono finished outlining his idea. This is highly potent magic that I am attempting here. Nino, I want you to prepare to reroute any magic up into the air. Jafar and Emerald, take my stuff. If this goes right, I won't need the swords or staff. Chrono muttered. The three nodded as Jafar and Emerald took Chrono's stuff. Be careful, Emerald whispered as she kissed Chrono on the lips. The trio backed up a bit as they gave Chrono some space. It was then that Chrono started chanting in a different language that neither his group nor the Leaf Nins ever heard before. A wave of power washed over them as Chrono continued chanting. What is he doing? Kiba whispered. It looks like he's praying. Hinata replied quietly. A person like him, praying. Sasuke muttered as he watched Chrono with distaste. That's no prayer, Shino muttered. You don't know the language he is speaking now. What makes you so sure? Naruto muttered. Because my Kikaichu bugs is refusing to tell me the source of the jutsu. Shino replied. We'll wait and see what Chrono does. Kakashi muttered. Everyone watched as light started to spin around Chrono. The dirt around him bubbled as metal rose from the ground like liquid. Chrono then chanted even quicker as the metal morphed and bubbled until it formed around his arms and sank into his arms. Chrono had to bite back a scream as he finished the loss. Few lines of the chant and fell face first into the dirt. By instinct, Jafar, Nino, and Emerald ran over to Chrono with Jafar pulling out his two swords and looked around to see if anyone was spying on them. Chrono, Nino muttered as she unleashed a healing spell on him. His response was a groan as he got up. Did it work? Emerald asked. I'm not sure until we test it out tomorrow. The Infu, scion of metal manipulations, is tricky at best and I could easily lose both my arms for it. Chrono replied as Jafar grabbed one of Chrono's shoulder and placed it over his. The Leaf Nins nodded to Aya. See each other and left as Chrono's group left the field. Back at the house, Sasuke looked out of the window mentally thinking to himself. How the hell does that sorry excuse of a warrior knows a jutsu as strong as that? I will beat it out of him if it's the last thing I do. I am an Avenger and I will use anything to kill him. Sasuke thought as he slumped off to bed. The next morning came as everyone was back at the training site. To Kakashi's expectation, almost everyone managed to climb a tree with just chakra. Except for Kiba, Naruto, and Sasuke. Kakashi looked over to Chrono and Emerald, who were huddled together. He decided to speak to them for a bit as he walked over to them while Kurenai supervised the rest of the group. Yo, Chrono, Emerald, Kakashi said. Yo, Chrono muttered as his arms gave off a sharp pain. Emerald looked over Chrono's arms and sighed. Anything wrong? Kakashi asked. Nothing major at the moment. Chrono was testing an experimental idea out and it didn't go well. I think, Emerald replied as she saw Nino and Jafar coming back with some food. We brought lunch, Nino exclaimed as she held up a picnic basket. Everyone sat down for some lunch and quick. Kaylee finished when Kiba spilled the beans. So Chrono, what did that spell do to your arms? Kiba asked before realizing what he said and covered his mouth. You can't keep your mouth shut. Shino stated calmly. I think it's a dud and it might end up hurting me. But I won't know until I test it out against my group along with the Genins in a weapon match. Chrono replied. You sure? It looks like that it's hurting you more than we realize. Kurenai muttered. I need to know if it worked. Chrono replied as he got up. The Genins, Jafar, Nino, and Emerald followed Chrono to the field and everyone got into position around Chrono. We are not going to hold back. Are you sure you want to go through this? Naruto asked. Yeah, I need to figure out how to control the spells. Chrono replied. What if we kill you? Sakura asked nervously. Don't worry, I escaped death too many times to count. Chrono said with a smile. Prepare yourself. Jafar muttered as he pulled out his two short swords. The Genins pulled out kunais as Emerald pulled out her bow and Nino started chanting for a fire spell. Now or never. Let's see if the spell actually worked. Chrono thought. Sakura started the match. As she threw some kunais at Chrono as Jafar rushed at him. Nino sent a fireball toward Chrono as Emerald launched an arrow at him. Shoot. Can't dodge. I need a shield. Chrono thought as he dove to the side. A flash of light was seen as a shield materialized on his left arm. Chrono saw the shield and realized what the spell actually meant as he raised the shield and deflected the kunais and turned to block Jafar's attack. Looks like the spell worked. Now bring it, Chrono replied as he redirected the fireball to strike the arrow first before hitting the shield. Eventually, the battle ended. As the group returned back to the house. It was after dinner when Inari had enough. Why are you here? Why are you risking your lives to help us out? You guys are not from here. All you guys are doing is trying to become a hero. Heroes dies too fast and for nothing. Inari screamed as he had tears in his eyes. You really piss me off with your crying. You don't know a hard life and you act like you had it worse. I don't care about your history. So quit your crying crybaby. Naruto exclaimed as he unleashed a bit of Kyuubi's chakra, instantly making Inari shiver. Naruto got up and ran out of the house. Once outside of the house, he morphed into his fox form and ran to the training field where he turned back to a human and started to train again. Back at the house, Chrono sighed as Inari ran to his room. Everyone else looked stunned. Kurenai, Kakashi, can you talk to Inari for me? I want to talk to Naruto myself and I have a good idea on his location. Chrono muttered as he left the house. The house was quiet as Tsunami and Tanuza quietly muttered that they needed to get to bed as they left the room. Soon after that, the girls left for their rooms as the boys sat back at the table thinking hard about what has said. Outside, Chrono managed to find Naruto punching a tree in anger. You okay, Naruto? Chrono asked. Naruto stopped punching the tree as Chrono walked over to him. I was always alone. Ever since birth. No one has ever acknowledged me except for Oji-san and Iruka-sensei. Everyone shunned me. It hasn't changed until you and your group came and here Inari is crying like some sad hero in a show. Naruto muttered as he turned to Chrono. I can only say that your past is your strength that allows you to change the present and possibly future. It's because of your that you aspired to become the leader of your village and it's because of your past that you made friends. Chrono muttered as Naruto sighed. Can you teach me more of your fighting style? Naruto asked. Chrono nodded as the pair got up and started to train again. Back at the house, the girls sat in their room as Hinata looked around. Why is Naruto-kun so sensitive to Inari's words? Hinata asked. He's just an annoying boy that just wants attention. Sakura muttered. Maybe being annoying is somehow his cry for someone to acknowledge him. Nino replied. Maybe. I just wish we knew more about his past. Emerald muttered as she looked at the moon. Naruto's mind. Kyuubi was partly in tears as she remembered the attack on Konoha. If only I had the chance to redo that day, I would become a human to help watch over you. Now, I'll do anything to get out of my prison just to be with you truly and it is almost complete. I'll be with you shortly. Just wait my love, just wait, Kyuubi muttered as she looked at the female Naruto body that Kyuubi has prepared as she fondly called it, Naruko. Next morning, a lady walked into the forest as she had basket in her hands. Her small smile added as she entered the Leaf's training field and saw Naruto and Chrono asleep. Naruto was in a patch of herbs while Chrono was sleeping on the tree. She looked at Chrono and made sure that he was asleep before she went over to Naruto with the intent to kill. Her hand made it to his throat when Naruto moaned in his sleep. No, it's not my fault, Naruto moaned. The lady pulled her hand away from Naruto's neck and patted him on the shoulder. You're gonna catch a cold if you sleep out here, the lady said. Naruto moaned as he woke up. Morning. Who are you? Naruto asked. The lady looked at Hitate on Naruto's head as she found a question to dodge his question. That Hitate, are you a ninja? The lady asked. Yup, I'm gonna be a Hokage soon. Naruto exclaimed with a smile. Hokage when you do, are you going to protect those who are precious to you? The lady asked. Of course, Iruka-sensei, Sakura-chan, Chrono, and his group. Naruto replied smiling. I hope you succeeded. The Dai replied as she finished picking herbs and stood up. She started to leave when she stopped a bit. By the way, I'm Haku. I'm also a man, Haku said. What? Naruto exclaimed loudly, waking Chrono up. How can a man be that beautiful? Naruto frantically thought before Haku put his fears to rest. I'm kidding. I'm a lady, Haku replied as she left. Haku walked for a bit until she reached Gato's hideout. She went in and found Zabuza's room. She entered and found Zabuza up. Zabuza-sama, you shouldn't be up right now. Haku said. Don't worry. In any case, let's prepare for the attack. Zabuza muttered. When is the attack? Haku asked. Tomorrow. Naruto and Chrono returned to Tezuna's house to find the house empty except for Nino and Hinata. Where did everyone go? Chrono asked. Kakashi, Kurenai and Jafar went scouting. Kiba, Shino, Sakura and Emerald went into town to get some food for tonight. Sasuke went out to train. Nino said. This is a great time to tell both of you almost everything. Chrono said. What do you mean? Hinata asked. Chrono. Nino exclaimed looking scared. Trust me Nino. Chrono said. Nino nodded as she looked at Naruto and Hinata. What secret? Naruto asked. You remember the dragon that you saw when you met up with Naruto to train Hinata? Chrono asked. Yes, I was thankful that it helped us. Hinata said. Well, the truth is, Chrono started to say until. Bang. The door slammed open as Kiba and Shino came in with Emerald. Following them was Kurenai, Jafar, Kakashi, and Sasuke. You were lucky that we found that good-sized meat. Kiba muttered. At least it's better than the fish you found. Shino said. The situation is still normal for now. We should keep an eye out for now. Kakashi muttered. Kurenai nodded as Jafar marched Sasuke into the room. Looks like everyone's here. Chrono muttered. Yeah, the bridge should be down within the next 3 days. Then our mission is over. Kakashi muttered. Looks like it. Either ways, I'm gonna to take a walk a bit. Care to come with me Emerald? Chrono asked. Yeah, I could use some time to cool down from the fishing. Emerald said as she and Chrono walked out of the house. The pair walked from the house until they reached the port village where they saw the soon-to-be-finished bridge. Throughout the whole walk, Emerald had her arm wrapped with Chrono's. Eating the village like this makes me wonder how Eliwood is doing. Chrono muttered. I'm sure he and Ninians are doing well. It's Hector and Lin I am worried about. Emerald said. Chrono couldn't resist a laugh. Yeah, I never expected them to fall in love. Chrono muttered. But I wanted to ask you something. Something very important. Emerald said. Ahead. Chrono muttered. Well, after this is all over with and we find a place to stay, how about we? Emerald started to say when. Chrono. Emerald. Naruto's voice called out. Chrono turned to face Naruto, who was panting slightly. What's up? Chrono asked. It's time to eat. Kakashi sent me to get you too. Naruto said smiling. Okay, we'll head back now. Emerald said with a smile. Her smile said, why Naruto? Why can't you wait 5 minutes for me to ask Chrono? The trio went back to the house and eventually went to bed except for Chrono, who woke up with a start at midnight. He got up, got dressed, and left the house in an attempt to free his mind of his nightmare. What's wrong with me? Ever since I died, those nightmares never stopped. Chrono muttered as he formed a sword in his hand. Above Chrono, Zuma smiled as he pulled out 2 kunais, floating in the air by his wings. Well, the god of war, scared from a nightmare. I think you have more to worry about now. Zuma muttered. Chrono turned to face Zuma, each eyeing the other with hate. Zuma started the attack as he rushed toward Chrono and started hacking away at him. Chrono blocked and parried each strike as he sticked back with magic and several slashes of his own. Zuma shoved Chrono backward as he launched his kunais at Chrono. Chrono jumped out of the kunai's path and flew toward Zuma, tackling him into the tree. He was about to slice Zuma's head off when Zuma punched Chrono in the gut and grabbed one of his wings. A dragon's strongest point is their wings. I wonder how you fare without a wing. Zuma muttered as he ripped the left wing off. Chrono screamed as his wing tore off. Without the support of his left wing, Chrono slammed into the earth groaning while grasping where his left wing used to be. Zuma landed in front of Chrono and smiled. It would be good to kill you right now. But that wouldn't be fun now, would it? So I'll wait till tomorrow to kill you. Right in front of your friends. Zuma muttered as he flew away. Chrono looked at the fading form of Zuma as he embraced the fading darkness. Next morning Emerald walked down the stairs and looked around. She was in Chrono's room to find it empty. She thought that Chrono was downstairs. So there she was looking around the kitchen. Sasuke sat brooding with Sakura beside him. Hinata, Shino, and Kiba sat across them talking quietly. Kurenai and Kakashi helped Tanuza set up for breakfast. Jafar and Nino sat on the ground looking around. Emerald walked over to Jafar and kneeled down. "Did you see Chrono this morning?" Emerald asked. "No, I didn't," Jafar muttered. "He might have went to the bridge." Nino pointed out. That is something Chrono would do," Emerald replied before she stood up to help Kurenai and Kakashi set up for breakfast. After breakfast finished, Team 7 and 8 with Chrono's group left the house with Tanuza. Along the way, the group encountered a bloody path with a single wing lying on the ground. "What happened here?" Kiba asked. "That's Chrono's wing," Nino exclaimed as Emerald rushed over to the wing. "He's injured," Emerald muttered, stating the obvious. "I'll scout for him," Jafar muttered as he walked toward the forest, pulling out his short swords. "I'll go with him," Emerald said, tears building in her eyes as she picked up Chrono's wing and followed Jafar. "Let them go," Shino muttered as Hinata and Sakura tried to follow them. Both girls returned to the group as they reached the fog-covered bridge. The sight of bodies beaten along the construction site made Tanuza run to the nearest worker. Just before he reached the man, a wave of killer intent washed over them as the ninjas of Konoha surrounded Tanuza. The fog cleared a bit to show Zabuza, the naked lady, and Zuma waiting for them. "So, how do you like my design?" The sight of bodies laying on the ground. "The only thing missing is the blood smeared on the ground with a missing limb," Zuma muttered. "Zuma," Kurenai muttered as everyone pulled out a kunai. "My battle is with you, Kakashi," Zabuza muttered as he placed a hand on his sword. "Sakura, stay here and protect Tanuza. You two, Shino, Kiba, Hinata, Nino," Kakashi muttered as he and Kurenai prepared to attack Zabuza. Zuma smiled as he rose into the air and pulled out two kunais. "Let's start this bloodbath then," Zuma muttered. Forest near the bloodstain of Chrono Jaffa, R and Emerald followed the bloodstain that led away from the path. Jafar looked around and nodded as Emerald followed. Just then, the pair heard movement within the bushes. The pair ducked into the bushes and watched on as they saw two samurais walking down the same path they took toward Tanuza's house. The two had their swords out and slashed everything in sight. "Should we go back to the house?" Emerald asked. "If Naruto is awake, then he can handle them. Let's follow them just in case," Jafar muttered as the pair followed them back. The pair followed the swordman back toward the house and prepared to attack them when the swordsman broke the door down. A few seconds later a scuffle was heard and they dragged Tsunami out of the house with Inari following, crying a bit. "Stay back here," Jafar muttered as he jumped out of the bushes. He landed behind the men and looked at them stone-face. The two swordsmen turned to see Jafar. "Who the hell are you? One wrong move and this lady becomes sushi," one of the samurai said, putting the sword at her neck. "Mom," Inari cried as he rushed at the men, intending to attack. The samurais didn't know what hit them. A quick 2H, it to the back of the neck along with swords disarmed and Tsunami beside Inari made Jafar smile slightly as he saw Naruto standing beside Tsunami and Inari. "I suppose you saw the cut marks?" Jafar asked as Emerald came out of the bushes. "Yup," Naruto said with a smile. Bridge. The battle was not going well. Kurenai and Kakashi had a hard time defending against Zabuza and Zuma while Sasuke tried to escape the masked lady's demonic ice mirror dome. Sakura and Team 8 stood by as they guarded Tanuza. "I won't hold back," the masked lady said as she held up Sebans. "Crap, I can't see her," Sasuke muttered as he is hit again by another barrage of Sebans. Outside, standing back to back, Kakashi and Kurenai faced Zabuza and Zuma. "This isn't good," Kurenai muttered, staring at the smirking form of Zuma. "Yeah, if we attack one, the other attacks," Kakashi muttered as he eyed the hulking form of Zabuza. "Time to end this," Zuma said as he and Zabuza rushed in for the kill. Suddenly a pillar of water slammed into Zuma, sending him upward as a figure appeared in front of Zabuza and kicked him backward. Another figure jumped into the dome. Everyone turned to see Jafar and Naruto appear at the spot they appeared at as Emerald rushed over to Tanuza. "Naruto!" Nino exclaimed. "Jafar," Hinata said smiling. "Emerald, did you find Chrono?" Sakura asked. "No, We had to help Naruto with an issue. Emerald replied. Zuma lowered closer to the ground and looked around. Who did that? Zuma muttered. I don't specialize in illusions. I can use attack elements myself. Nino said with a smile. Die then. Zuma yelled as he flew straight at Nina. Shoot! Kakashi exclaimed as he couldn't help the situation. Suddenly, Doragon Kata. Tatsumaki Ken. AN. Dragon Style. Tornado Blade. Two swords slammed in front of Zuma and morphed into tornadoes, ensnaring him and spinning him out of Nino and back toward the dirt. That voice. Zuma muttered with a wicked smile as he stood up and faced the source of the voice. Everyone turned to see Chrono rushing at Zuma through the air and landed in front of them. Chrono! Everyone exclaimed. You have some nerve ripping my wing off last night, Zuma. Chrono muttered as he morphed two swords back and got into his battle stance. How did you avoid death then? Zuma asked. I had a healing done to myself. Chrono replied as he tossed to Nino a healing staff. Well, it's time to die then. Zuma muttered as he rushed at Chrono with the swing of his kunai. Chrono blocked with one sword and countered with the other sword that connected to Zuma's left shoulder. Zuma pulled back and threw both kunais. Chrono deflected the kunais and rushed in for the kill. Zuma smiled and knocked the swords aside as he slammed his fist into Chrono's gut and sent him into the water. I'm surprised that you move so well with a wing missing. I'll retreat for now. I have some business to attend to. Zuma muttered as he flew away. Get back here. Chrono yelled as he used the magic to force the water below him upward as a boost. By the time Chrono landed on the bridge, Zuma was long gone as he felt a burst of evil chakra. This feeling, Kyuubi, Chrono muttered as he turned to see Naruto punching the masked lady out of the mirror domes. Naruto's mind Kyuubi was smiling as she witnessed the scene. This is my chance to escape. Naruto's body and return to the living. Kyuubi said as she unleashed more of her chakra. Bridge Naruto knocked the masked lady in the face again, smashing the mask in half. Naruto was about to punch the lady again when the mask fell off, revealing Haku's face. Naruto stopped his attack as Kyuubi's chakra faded away quickly. You're that lady from the meadow. Naruto muttered. Yes. You must kill me. Haku said. What, why? Naruto asked, puzzled. You took away my only purpose in life. Haku said. Purpose in life? Chrono muttered as he walked over to Haku. Yes. I live only as Zabuza-sama's tool. Haku said. That's stupid. If you lose your purpose, you find a new one. Chrono muttered. A loud crackle was heard as Haku turned to see Kakashi rushing at Zabuza with lighting in his hand. At that same time, a surge of evil chakra washed over Chrono as he saw chakra pouring out of Naruto and taking human form. Zabuza-sama, Haku exclaimed as she created an ice mirror and stepped into it to stop Kakashi. Shoot, Emerald, Nino, Jafar. Get to Naruto. Chrono muttered as he raised one hand at Kakashi while running over to Naruto. The lighting in Kakashi's hand fizzed out as he slammed his hand into Haku's chest. Soft, Kakashi muttered before he got punched backward by a heavy blushing Haku. Over with Naruto, Chrono and his group met up to see the chakra forming up to a girl around Naruto's age. This chakra, Kyuubi, Chrono exclaimed as Nine Tails came out from behind her. Naruto, Kyuubi exclaimed as she latched onto Naruto. Okay, Chrono, Nino asked. I'm lost just as much as you are. Chrono replied until he activated his sky eyes and gasped. Everyone, we got company. Chrono yelled as he turned to look at one end of the bridge. Everyone followed Rono's instructions as they saw an army of thugs with Gato behind them. Gato, Zabuza muttered, so much for the demon of the mist. You can't even kill one old man and his bodyguards. I was hoping that they would kill you off, and who knows, I might have sold your girl for another $1,000,000 or $2. Gato muttered with a sadistic smile on his face. Kakashi, our fight is over. Zabuza muttered as he turned to face Gato. Gato, you scum. Chrono muttered as he and Jafar walked up to Zabuza. This is not your fight. Zabuza muttered as he placed a hand on his sword. He's the kind of guy that is left to you. We'll take care of his underlings. Chrono muttered as two swords flashed in both hands and Jafar unsheathed his short swords. We got your back, Jafar simply said. Zabuza rushed to The army of thugs as one sneered at him. You'll never reach Zabuza-sama. So give up now and we might spare your life. One thug muttered before being sliced in half. What? Get him. Another Yuji said before his head got lopped off by Jafar. By then, all the thugs charged in at the pair. 10 thugs prepared to impale Jafar and Zabuza when their hands suddenly stopped. Zabuza turned to see Chrono pointing a finger at the thugs and smiled. Zabuza passed the thugs until he saw Gato. Gato panicked and turned to run before he stopped in his track by the sudden drop at the bridge. Gato, I'll see you in hell. If you think I'm a demon now, well, even demons grow up. Zabuza muttered as he swung his sword once, cleaving Gato in half. I got the thugs now, Chrono said as he sent a strong blast of wind at the thugs, sending them off the bridge. Everyone ran over to Chrono as Haku walked over to Zabuza. Chrono, great job, Nino exclaimed with a smile. Nah, the show goes to Zabuza. I just cleared the field for him. Naruto, is Kushina okay? Chrono asked looking at him and Kyuubi. Kushina, Kyuubi asked. Don't tell me you forgot your memory already. Chrono replied as everyone but Nino, Emerald and Jafar looked at her. That reminds me, when did Kushina get here? Kiba asked. She was here the whole time, Shino said as he looked at Chrono. Yeah, I met Naruto at a grassy field. He treated me like a little sister. Kushina replied. Kakashi, Kurenai, let's go talk to Zabuza. Chrono replied. No need, Haku said as the pair walked over to them. We would like to join your village. Zabuza muttered. That's great, Emerald said as Hinata and Sakura smiled. Not quite. There's a reward on Zabuza's head. He could be sent back to his village and executed. Kurenai said. Well, I'll talk to the Hokage and see what he can do. Kakashi muttered. Suddenly, a burst of cheer was heard as everyone turned to see the entire village cheering for the downfall of Gato. They swarmed the group and dragged them into the village. That night was one of the best thing that could have happened. Eventually, morning came as everyone left Wave Country. As Team 7, 8, Alib, and Mist Pair left, Tanuza spoke to Inari. Those people brought hope to our country. But we need a name. Tanuza said. How about the Great Naruto Bridge? Inari answered. Nice name. Tanuza replied as they watched the group fade away. Man, I can really see how much the villagers hate you. Chrono muttered after stopping by the Hokage Tower. Zabuza and Haku stood beside Emerald, Jafar, Nino, and Kushina under Hokage's orders. Since their return, Sarutobi told them that they could become Konoha ninjas if they were placed under house arrest, while mentioning that Zabuza would be instated at a Jun, while Haku would be placed as a Chunin. The pair agreed. Naruto, I have a new home built for you to live in. Your landlord, let some people in, Sarutobi said as he placed the keys along with our payment for their mission in Naruto's confused hands. Well, I guess we should salvage what's left, Emerald said as she gripped Chrono's ripped wing, which turned to bone. 30 minutes later, the group walked out of Naruto's old apartment and followed the directions that the Hokage gave them on the keys. Soon enough, the house appeared. It came complete with a fence, garden, training ground, and everything else that came standard. Naruto smiled widely as he boldly proclaimed that he was the landlord and everyone there stayed for free. Everyone moved in and got settled. Flashback and See. Hirono left his room and went downstairs to find Emerald and Nino with Haku in the kitchen, while Zabuza and Jafar sat at the table talking about various assassination techniques they used. Chrono NNED the room further and found Naruto with Kushina sitting off to the side. Chrono went over to Naruto and smiled. Morning. What are you two doing? Chrono asked. I won't talk to any god of war. Kushina muttered. Okay, I get the idea that you hate my guts. But at least explain to Naruto and me how you got out of him. Chrono muttered. Yeah, I wanna know myself, Emerald said as she placed some food on the table. Do you remember when you and the god of war appeared to me the first time? Kushina asked. My name is Chrono. But yes, Chrono answered. Yeah, I wonder how he appeared in my mind. Naruto said, curious. When he came into your mind, some of his chakra came with him. After I ejected both of you, I realized that his chakra had magical side effect to my jail. So I just utilized that part and broke out. Kushina answered. Magical side, Zabuza asked as he walked over to Chrono. What do you mean? Haku asked as she and Nino brought the rest of the food over. Chrono is a dragon, so he can use magic like any other human can. Kushina replied. Science ensued. Zabuza snapped out of it first and laughed. That's a good one, Kushina. What are you saying? Chrono is a summon, he said. Actually, you are just about right. Chrono replied. The laughter died. You serious? Haku asked. Yes, I am a dragon. Kushina is something along those lines. But I won't expose her identity. That's part of the reason I can freely manipulate elemental magic. Chrono answered. I guess I can relate. There has been legends about beings that took human form to aid others. Haku said thoughtfully. I don't understand it much. But Chrono is Chrono. He's my friend and I'll protect him and never back down. That's my Nindo, Naruto said smiling. Either ways, let's eat. Afterwards, why? Oh, you have to go meet up with Team 7 and afterward you and Hinata will train a bit more. Chrono replied. After breakfast, Naruto, Zabuza, Jafar, and Haku prepared to leave the house as Chrono, Nino, Emerald, Kushina cleared the table. Kushina walked over to Naruto and poked him. Naruto, now that I can walk on my own, you have my chakra. Chrono's magic only gives me a human form. The fox transfer, Mashin bloodline that you had allows me to turn into a kitsune and merge with you. When we merge, you gain easy control to my chakra along with my form. Kushina said. Really? Naruto asked. Kushina nodded. Naruto, hurry up. Chrono muttered. Oh right, I'm off. Naruto exclaimed as he, Jafar, Zabuza, and Haku left for the Hokage tower. Chrono smiled as he walked back into the house. Nino and Kushina went to the garden to water the plants a bit as Emerald went to her room a bit before pulling out Chrono's bone wing. Chrono, is there a way to turn your bone into a weapon? Emerald asked. I'm not sure. Why? Chrono asked. I want to turn your wing into a bow. Emerald answered with a small smile. I'm not a weapon, you know. Besides, you might want a blacksmith to do that. Not a mage, although I can place some of my and your dragon energy into the bow so you can use it. Chrono replied. You would do that for me? Emerald asked. Yeah, I would. Chrono replied. Emerald smiled GHTLY as she seized Chrono by his arm and dragged him out of the house until they reached the 10 swords. They entered and saw 1010 at the counter. Hi there, Emerald, 1010 said with a smile. Hi 1010, can you make this bone into a bow? Emerald asked as she placed Chrono's wing bone on the counter. I guess I could, but it'll take a week and, Chrono, what happened to your wing? 1010 replied as she eyed Chrono's wingless side. Chrono's only response was pointing at the wing bone. 1010 paled as she realized what she had. You mean she wants your bone as a weapon? The weapon mistress asked. Yup, my wings has special properties when they are turned into a weapon and Emerald would like it confirmed, I guess. Chrono muttered. Either ways, it will take 10 days to finish. Is that okay with you? 1010 asked as the color started to return. Yeah, Emerald replied. I'll get started on it today. Nice seeing you again, Emerald. Chrono, you two should have a night alone for once. You could be Konoha's cutest couple. 1010 joked as Chrono dragged Emerald out of the building with a completely red face. So when are we going to have our date? Emerald asked, playing on Chrono's current state. Not right now, Chrono replied as the pair started walking again. Around noon, Chrono heard someone yelling, Youth. What was that? Emerald asked as Chrono looked around. Care to check it out? Chrono asked. Emerald nodded as they ran toward the source of the noise. Eventually, they reached a training ground with two green-cladded man and child trained against each other. Chrono was very impressed at the speed both of them were going at until the older green man stood it and smiled. Great work, Lee. The fires of youth burns brightly. The older man yelled. Hi, Guy-sensei. Lee exclaimed smiling. Now we shall do 500 push-ups. Guy yelled. If I can't do that, I shall do 600 sit-ups. Lee tagged on. Before Guy and Lee continued on their list of exercise, Chrono coughed loudly and walked towards them with Emerald in tow. Guy and Lee turned to see the pair and smiled. Well, if it isn't Chrono, did our flames of youth brought you here? Guy asked. Not quite, Guy. I just wanted to know who was making noise, and Emerald and I happened to see your sparring match. You two are good, Chrono said with a small smile. Lee, why do you wear the same clothing as Guy? Emerald asked. I want to be more like him. Lee answered. Well, as far as I can tell, Lee can possibly learn some more from me and Nino. They will be somewhat similar like jutsus but not quite. But if you want to learn them. Chrono started speaking before Lee rushed up to him at impossible speed and bowed to him. Please sensei, Lee said. Wow, that was fast. Can I ask why you are eager to learn what Chrono know? Emerald asked. I can't use ninjutsu or genjutsu. So I worked on taijutsu for the chance that I can prove to everyone that you can be a great ninja with just taijutsu. Lee responded quietly. Far enough. I guess we can even the field for you a little bit. But be warned, you are not training with your body, but with your mind. Chrono said. Lee nodded as Guy cried buckets of tears. Lee, you were lucky to be taught by two overflowing fountains of youth. Be proud of the wisdom that they passed to you, Lee. Guy said. Guy sensei. Lee, Guy sensei. Lee, if you can find an orange-cladded boy, tell him that Chrono and Emerald invited you. Emerald said as she started backing away from the two green men. Chrono followed Emerald as they left Lee and Guy. They managed to find a dango shop where they enjoyed some of Konoha's finest when they saw Hinata entering with Shino and Kiba. Hinata saw them and smiled as she along with her two teammates walked over to them. Chrono-kun, Emerald-chan, Hinata said warmly as she pulled up a seat beside Emerald. Hinata, what brings you here? Chrono asked. She didn't want to see her father. Kiba brashly said. Kiba, Hinata quietly whispered. Really? Why is that? Emerald asked. Chu-san disapproves of the fighting style you are teaching. Hinata replied. In the end, a fighting style is how you fight. The best style is one that adapts to any situation that you may come across. Don't stop learning a style because someone else tells you not to. Chrono said as a waitress came by and placed a menu next to Chrono and Emerald. A quick scan later, the pair ordered their meals and resumed their talk with Hinata, Shino, and Kiba. It's kinda like how someone grows. No one can cling to childhood ideas. So it grows. So does a fighting style. Be proud of how you fight. Emerald said looking at Hinata with a motherly-like warmth. So does that mean you will teach us your jutsu? Kiba asked. Nope. Learning from others can only go so far. You have to make your own if you want to grow stronger. Chrono said. Here's your order, sir. The waitress said. As Chrono and Emerald started to eat their meal, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura were coming back to the village from the bridge. Each held a piece of paper in their hand. Chunin exam are you going to take it, Sasuke-kun? Sakura asked as she looked at the said boy. Sasuke didn't reply as he walked away from Naruto and Sakura, leaving a dejected Sakura for Naruto to deal with. Sakura-chan, how about we go on a date? Naruto asked with a smile. One punch later, Sakura huffed away as Naruto followed her while rubbing his bump on his head. They passed by the dango shop when Naruto saw Chrono and Emerald leaving the shop with Hinata, Kiba, and Shino. The group split as Hinata's group left the dragon couple. Chrono, Emerald, Naruto called out. Naruto, Sakura. Emerald replied smiling as she and Chrono walked over to them. What's with the paper? Chrono asked as he saw the paper in his hand. Oh, this is my application for the Chunin exam. Naruto replied. Oh, is that a ninja test? Emerald asked. Well, I don't know. Naruto answered sheepishly. Of course it is, baka. Sakura exclaimed loudly. Well, no use worrying. Let's head back to the apartment and tell Kushina about it. Chrono replied. Yeah, let's. Emerald started say when a loud voice drowned out her words. What was that? Naruto asked. No idea. Let's check it out. Chrono replied as the trio ran over to the commotion, which happened to be a pair and a kid. The pair turned out to be the oddest couple Chrono ever seen. One of the pair, a girl with blonde hair, had a giant fan while the other man had face paint and a package on his back as he started to tighten his grip on the kid. Konohamaru, Naruto exclaimed. Naruto-ni-chan. Konohamaru grunted as he tried to pry his neck from the man's grip. Hey, drop the kid. Chrono muttered as his left eye glowed blue. He needs to learn where he's going. I never thought Konoha ninjas would be so weak. The man said, "You're right for the most part. But you forgot one simple thing." Emerald replied as Chrono looked at the pair once. A sudden burst of killer intent drilled into the pair as the hand that gripped Konohamaru sliced off. The pair looked shaken as Jafar grabbed Konohamaru and leapt back to Chrono's side. "I'm a netteral party. You make me mad, I'll smear you across the pavement. Besides, the guy in red beside Sasuke would beat me to it." Chrono casually answered. The pair stiff. And as the red-haired man and Sasuke appeared in front of them, both in front of their respective group. "That man is good," the red-haired man said. "Gaara, this isn't what it looks like," the face paint man said, panicking slyly. "Kankuro, shut up or I'll kill you," Gaara said, unleashing a small blast of killer intent at the man. "Okay, it was my fault. I'm sorry," Kankuro said, backing up slightly from the man. Gaara turned back to the group. "I apologize for my group's behavior," Gaara said as he turned to leave. Kankuro and the lady followed Gaara when Sasuke stopped them. "What's your name?" Sasuke asked. "Me," the blonde-haired lady asked. "Know him?" Sasuke replied, pointing to Gaara. "Sabko no Gaara," Gaara answered as the lady looked slightly dejected. "What's your name, miss?" Chrono asked. "Temari," Temari replied. Gaara stared at Chrono a bit longer before he pointed at him. "Mother thirst for your blood. What is your name?" Gaara asked. Jafar prepared to attack Gaara when Chrono placed a hand on him. One quick look from Chrono disengaged his sudden thoughts of attacking Gaara. "He who seeks blood will die by the blade eventually. All you need to know is that I'm not someone to trifle with. That sand shield will not save you," Chrono replied as he pointed at Gaara. In an instant, all the sand surrounding Gaara blasted off, startling the sand sibling but Gaara. "No way. This guy took all of Gaara's armor of sand off without even moving," Kankuro thought as the sand reformed around him. "He is good," Temari thought. The sand sibling left, leaving them alone in the streets. "The Chunin exam. This is starting to sound interesting," Sasuke said as he walked away. "Emerald, we'll have to double the training soon. Things might get ugly now," Chrono muttered as he stared at the fading forms of the sand sibling. The next day came as Naruto, Hinata and Chrono met up at the examination tower. Along the way, Sasuke and Sakura along with Kiba and Shino met up with them. The group split up as Chrono gave Naruto and Hinata one last word of advice. "Never give up. If you give up, you lose everything," Chrono muttered. "Don't worry, Chrono, I'll never give up," Naruto exclaimed with a smile. "Hi Chrono," Hinata said quietly while she blushed. "Well, I'll wait for the good news," Chrono stated as he left the pair. On the way down, Chrono saw Sarutobi waiting for him with a smile on his face. "What's the smile for?" Chrono asked. Sarutobi walked over to Chrono. "You helped Naruto and Konoha out. I would like to personally invite you into the village as a clan," Sarutobi muttered. "Why though? Why would you want to do that?" Chrono asked. "Naruto needs a family, and so far since you and your group have been here, you are like a family to him," Sarutobi said. "But we don't belong here. You know our background. Eventually we will find a way back to Alib, or more of my race will come to capture me. You don't know how to beat them," Chrono said. Quote, "But if you become a member of the village can help protect you," Sarutobi muttered as he extended his right hand. "I need time to think about this," Chrono replied as he passed by the Hokage and left the building. On the way back to the apartment, Chrono passed by a Tenten's shop when he saw Emerald, Zabuza, Nino, Kushina, Haku, and Jafar exiting the shop. "Chrono, where were you?" Nino asked. "I walked with Naruto and Hinata to their Chunin exam," Chrono replied. "We got news. A messenger from the Hokage came to the apartment and offered us the chance to stay in the village as a clan," Emerald said. "So he told you also?" Chrono replied. "What do you mean?" Zabuza asked. "He asked me the same thing as I was heading out of the Chunin exam location," Chrono replied. "He might know something gonna happen," Jafar muttered. "But what? We hardly know what is happening to the village. We're outsiders after all," Nino chipped in. "We know that. So what will you do, Chrono?" Kushina replied with a slight smirk. "Right now, if we wanted to, we can leave the village and figure out what's happening. But there's a chance the Hokage could send an army after us," Chrono muttered. "So we wait here," Haku asked. What else do we have? The Marquess has us pinned. Jafar muttered quietly. Yeah, for right now, we'll agree with them. Chrono muttered. And if things go bad? Kushina asked. We'll deal with it then. Jafar muttered as he and Nino walked away. Zabuza, Haku, and Kushina followed after the pair, leaving only Chrono and Emerald back at Tenten's shop. How do you think everyone will do in the exam? Emerald asked as she walked over to Chrono. No idea, but I hope they pass it. Chrono replied as he walked off toward the nearest restaurant. Emerald smiled as she watched Chrono enter the restaurant. I just hope you know what you are doing, Emerald said with a slight smile as she left to head back to the apartment. Inside the restaurant, Chrono finished ordering his meal when the door opened. The dragon boy looked over at the door to see one grown man and a young girl with him. Both had white pupils and looked around until their eyes landed on Chrono. A waiter walked up to the pair and smiled. It's a rare sight to see you come here. Hyuga-sama, are you eating here today? Hyuga-sama? I am not. I only came here to see that man, the man said as he pointed at Chrono. Then if you please allow me to show you to his seat. The waiter walked over to Chrono as the man and the young lady sat down at the table. Soon after the waiter left, the waitress came in and gave Chrono his order and left. Who are you? Chrono asked as he grabbed his meal, which was a bowl of fried rice. Isn't it rude to demand other people's name without introducing yourself, Chrono-san? The man replied. Chrono placed the bowl back on the table and placed his hand under the table. That depends. Someone of your stature doesn't normally come out to have a meal with an outsider. Chrono retorted. The man ignored the jibe as he looked at Chrono. I am Hiyashi Hyuga. This is my daughter Hanabi Hyuga. Hiyashi said. Oh, so Hinata has a cute little sister. Chrono muttered as he re-grabbed his bowl and started to eat. So, what does the father of Hinata want with me? Chrono asked while eating his food. We have heard recently that you have started teaching Hinata in your unusual style. Hiyashi stated. She lacked confidence. All I did was give her a little of my style to place confidence in. Chrono replied. Which interferes with her daily training of the Hyuga style. One does not combine jutsus and expect fluid transition. Hiyashi stated. You are right, but yet again, one does not tell a kid to walk when they can only crawl. Chrono replied as he continued eating his meal. I want you to stop teaching my daughter. Hiyashi muttered quietly, lacing his voice with killer intent while activating his Byakugan. Hanabi stiffened slightly as her father unleashed his killer intent while watching Chrono. Chrono looked unfazed as he finished his meal. If this is what the talk will resort to, I can fully understand why she has confidence issues. We have nothing more to say, Chrono said as he placed the bowl on the table and placed money inside of the bowl. We're not done talking, Hiyashi stated as he placed a hand on Chrono. There's nothing more that can be said, Chrono replied as he shrugged Hiyashi's hand off of his shoulder and left the restaurant. Just as he exited the restaurant, Naruto and Hinata spotted Chrono and walked over to him. We passed the first part, Naruto exclaimed. First part? Chrono asked. Yeah, we gotta meet our testers at some Forbidden Gate area, Naruto said with a smile. Really now? Chrono asked as the door opened behind him as Hiyashi and Hanabi exited the restaurant. Hinata, what are you doing with him? Hiyashi demanded as he looked from the said girl to Naruto, and finally on to Chrono. I was just talking to Chrono-san, Chu-san. Hinata whispered. Come, we are heading home, Hiyashi muttered. I'm afraid that she can't at the moment. She has some training to do with Naruto here, so I'll be taking them to a training ground. Chrono muttered as he grabbed the pair by their hands and started walking. Why you? Hake Rokujian show, Hiyashi muttered as he lashed out at Chrono. A pillar of earth ro. Say behind Chrono as the first two strikes slammed into the pillar. It's not very becoming of the clan head to attack someone like me, Chrono said as he manipulated the air so it would raise himself. Naruto and Hinata as they flew over to Training Ground 8, leaving Hiyashi and Hanabi there looking toward the sky. Chu-san, what is Hinata learning? Hanabi asked. Something that should not be in our style, Hiyashi replied. It was around night time when Naruto and Hinata decided to head back to Naruto's apartment. Just as they left the area, two green blur rushed in and stopped in front of Chrono. Guy-sensei, Lee exclaimed. I just came to see Chrono's overflowing fountain of youth in action as he teaches you. Guy said, looking at Chrono with a smile. No worries. It won't hurt for you to know what Lee is going into. Chrono replied. Thank you, Chrono-kun. Lee muttered. Now, my style of fighting refers to the workings of nature. I can only assume that you use part of nature in your attacks. My style is not so different. But first, you need to sense the energy that is needed. Chrono stated. How you teach me to sense it? Lee asked as he raised his hand. That's simple. Since you can't use chakra, you are more receptive to energy flows. With that being said, I will encase us all in a dome, and your job, Lee, is to sense the distortions in the common world. Chrono replied. What distortions? Guy asked. Chrono's answer was felt as he poured out the magical energy into the atmosphere. Guy and Lee looked confused as they tried to determine the location of the energy. Look up, Chrono said. The two green-cladded men looked up just to be doused with water. Wow, Lee exclaimed as he looked at Chrono with something akin to fire in his eyes. I'm rather surprised though. You picked it up faster than I expected. Chrono commented as Lee smiled. So that was the energy that is needed. Guy said. Yes, normally, that energy can't be found in mass quantities. But the way I'm training you, Lee, you will be able to make use of that energy in various quantities. Chrono replied. Let's continue, Lee exclaimed. Chrono and Guy nodded as the lessons in magic brought the night in. It was 7 AM when Naruto woke Chrono up with the smell of ramen. The one-winged dragon stirred as he got out of bed. I need to keep a mental note. Never teach Lee anything new at night. I'm surprised that I even managed to wake up this morning, Chrono muttered. You're not the only one, a voice said. Kron instinctively magicked a ball of fire and was about to send it flying at the sour. CE of the sound when he saw that it was just Emerald talking to him. Did I scare you? Emerald teased. Don't do that. The last thing I want to do is to send pillars of fire at you. Chrono mumbled as he stood up and put out the fireball. Naruto and Hinata are going into the next part of their test today. Emerald said as she opened the door for Chrono. I know. Lee told me last night. I street. Ill can't believe he managed to summon enough magical energy to attack me last night. My best robes that Eliwood gave me for his coordinations is burnt to a crisp. Chrono muttered. Really? You must have really liked those clothing. Tell you what, while Naruto and the others are on their test, we'll go out and get you some new clothing. Emerald said as the pair left the room. In the kitchen, No saw Naruto's bag spread out on the table as Zabuza, Haku, Jafar, Nino, and Kushina looked at its content. At the very least, he should have a first aid kit on him along with some bandages. Haku said with a hint of finality. Okay, with that settled, everything else is second priority. Food can be found anywhere in that death trap along with water. Zabuza stated. At the very least, bring some extra kunais and tags. You'll never know when the extras could save your life. Nino chipped in. Always wear your weapons on you. In survival-based areas, the quicker you have your hand on your weapon, the quicker you can ward off any danger. If you absolutely need to rest, find a fellow team that you can trust and take shelter with them. If you don't meet into any friendly, set up traps and detections before you sleep. Jafar muttered. I'm coming with you, Naruto, as your pet fox, Kushina muttered as she morphed from her human side to her kitsune side. With that, Kushina jumped right onto Naruto's head. At least I know I have someone to rely on, Naruto said, smiling as Kushina yipped. Are you ready, Naruto? Chrono asked as he walked up to the boy. Yup, Kushina and I are ready, Naruto exclaimed. Here's my advice. Get through your test quickly and never let your guard down. I let mine down back at Wave and look what happened to me. Chrono muttered as Naruto stared at Chrono's wingless side. Let's get you and Hinata over to the location of your second test. Chrono muttered as he started walking to the door with Naruto following him with his backpack. As Naruto led Chrono to the next part of the Chunin exam, the trio met up with Hinata. Oi, Hinata, Naruto called out. Said girl went red before looking over at Naruto and Chrono. Good morning, Naruto-kun, Chrono-san. Hinata said. Are you set for the second part of your test? Chrono asked. Hinata nodded as she smiled slightly while Naturo smiled. Eventually, The trio reached the site of their next testing as Chrono looked around. Most of the fighters were around Naruto's age or a bit older. In front of the crowd, stood a fishnet-covered lady in a trench coat. Welcome to Training Ground 10. Or is it, more commonly known as the Forest of Death, the protractor said. Who's the lady? Chrono asked. She's Anko, Hinata replied as she searched for her team. HMPH. Forest of Death. There's nothing scary about it, Naruto stated. Anko heard this and threw a kunai right past Naruto, cutting his cheek a little bit. Chrono was a little startled at the sudden action as Anko started to lick Naruto's blood off his cheek. Despite Kushina's yipping of disapproval, I like guys like you. Their blood is always tasty. Anko breathed as she continued to lick the blood off of Naruto's face. Chrono sighed as he turned to leave. It was then that he saw a grass nin holding a kunai over Anko's shoulders with his tongue. Wow, freaky, Chrono thought as he watched Anko take the kunai from said nin. Naruto, Hinata, let me give you something, Chrono said as he picked up 2 stones and charged them with his energy. What is it? Naruto asked. It's a simple stone with my energy charged into it. Show. You run into an enemy with experience passing yours, don't hesitate to use that stone. Speak normally and I'll hear you. With that, I'll see you guys later, Chrono said as he left the area. Sakura and Sasuke along with Kiba and Shino ran over to the pair. What did Chrono give you? Sasuke asked. Something that could help us later, Naruto retorted with a smile. A stone with his chakra infused in it, Hinata said. What good would that do? Kiba asked. It could give up an energy boost if we need, Sakura said as she looked at the pulsating stone in Naruto's hand. He said that we can use it to talk to him if we need to, Naruto said. Oye, grab your death waiver and sign it, Anko yelled out as she started handing papers out. As the Genins went to get their death waiver, Chrono was walking past the Hokage tower when Zabuza, Haku, Jafar, Emerald, and Nino walked down the stairs. Chrono, Nino exclaimed as she ran down the last few steps to meet up with Chrono. What are you guys doing at the Hokage's tower? Chrono asked. The Hokage wants us to become the judge for the preliminary fights before the 3rd round. Jafar muttered. That would give all of us a reason to Naturo's growth along with Hinata's abilities. Emerald said. It will give me an excuse to get out of the hospital, Haku replied with a smile. Well, what do you think? Emerald asked. I guess we can take the time to do that, Chrono replied. Good, because Emerald volunteered all of us to judge the matches, Zabuza said. In any case, let's grab some new clothing for you, Emerald said as he grabbed Chrono's hand and dragged him into the nearest clothing store as the rest of the group left the pair for the apartment complex. 30 minutes later, Emerald came out of the store. Come on now Chrono, it's not that bad, Emerald said. It is too. It feels like I'm naked, Chrono muttered as he left the store with a black shirt, gray robe-turned jacket and red pants. At least you get to keep the robe, Emerald said. I'm surprised they can tailor the clothing to let in one wing, Chrono retorted. Oh well, I think it looks good. Either ways, how about we head back, Emerald said as she linked arms with Chrono. The pair walked back to the apartment when Naturo's voice erupted in Chrono's ears. Chrono, I need help, Naruto exclaimed. Emerald, head up first. Naturo, where are you? Chrono said through the energy of his sky eyes. 8 sextillion 888 quintillion 888 quadrillion 888 trillion 888 billion 888 million 888,888 over at the Forest of Death, Naruto struggled from the inside of the snake while Kushina morphed back to her human form. Inside a snake, it got the jump on me, Naruto exclaimed. On us. You were supposed to keep me safe Naruto, Kushina said with mock tears. Make it throw you up. Where's Sasuke and Sakura? Chrono asked. I don't know. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto yelled as 200 clones poofed into existence, exploding the giant snake. Hurry, they could be in danger, Chrono stated as Naruto and Kushina jumped in to the trees and rushed off toward the way he was blasted. Soon enough, the pair found Sasuke shaken slightly as he backed up slightly from a huge snake and a ninja on it. Oye, Sasuke, Naruto exclaimed. The ninja, Sasuke, And beside the tree Sakura looked up to see Naruto and Kushina there. Baka, run, Sakura exclaimed. Why? A hero always rescues everyone in the end. Naruto boldly exclaimed. Kushina sighed as she jumped and landed beside Sakura. Back over at the apartment's roof, Chrono sighed at that line. Naturo, focus on the battle. First eliminate the biggest threat. Chrono muttered. Got it, Naruto exclaimed as he saw that the ninja on top of the snake was the biggest threat. Sasuke, move if you are not going to help. Kushina yelled as she jumped in front of the said ninja. And the pair started to attack the ninja. The ninja smirked as he dodged each attack from the pair and also managed to dodge out of the attacks. Is that the best you can do? The ninja taunted. Naru, too grunted as he remembered a lesson from Jafar. Naturo and Hinata was watching a fight between Chrono and Jafar, trying to memorize the movements the pair did to attack the other. What the pair didn't expect was Jafar to suddenly vanishing and reappearing behind Chrono with several slash marks on said Dragon Boy. I didn't see that one coming. Chrono muttered as he deformed his sword. Chrono-kun, what was that? Hinata asked. The cuts are Jafar's last attack. Chrono asked. His last attack. It was so cool, Naruto exclaimed. Everyone has it. It just comes out when you are not expecting it. Jafar muttered. But training has made it so that if we need to, we can call on the conditions that makes us perform that attack. What those conditions are is a mystery for each person. Chrono muttered. Flashback end. I'm not done yet. I'll beat you, Naruto exclaimed as his chakra flared. Naruto, Sakura and Kushina exclaimed. I'll not let you give you the chance to use that jutsu. The ninja exclaimed as he rushed in and thrusted with a kunai. Naruto's form hazed and disappeared as the kunai missed him. On both sides of the ninja's arm, two clones of Naruto appeared and seized the arm. Let go, the ninja snarled as he went to punch a clone. The clone poofed to form two new clones that seized the other arm. Here I go, Uzumaki Kage Bunshin Saramu. Uzumaki Shadow Clone. Slam, Naruto yelled as he jumped into the air and made a hand symbol. 20 more clones poofed into existence, grabbing the next clone's legs until it made a chain to the unknown ninja. Now, Naruto yelled as the clones lifted the ninja off of the tree. With one quick rotation, the clones of Naruto lifted and slammed the ninja right into a tree, leaving an indent on the said tree. The clones dispersed as the real Naruto landed on a branch nearby. How's that? Naruto exclaimed. Kukuku. Not bad at all. If Sasuke wasn't my first choice, you would be my first choice. But that large chakra pool is annoying. The ninja stated as he thrusted out from the crater and slammed a hand into Naruto's stomach, knocking the air out of him. Naruto's grip on the stone slipped as it flew out of his hand, cutting the connection from Naruto to Chrono. Naruto, Naruto, Chrono exclaimed as he summoned wind to lift him to the roof of the apartment. Great, the stone must have slipped from him. I got no choice now, Chrono muttered as he sent energy into Hinata's energy stone. Hinata, Kiba, and Shino stared at Orochimaru, who was shivering. He's been like this ever since we saw those sand ninjas, Kiba said softly. Orochimaru, Hinata murmured before Chrono's voice came to her head. Hinata, can you hear me? Chrono asked. Chrono-kun, Hinata asked. Hinata, are you okay? Kiba asked. Hi, Chrono-kun is talking to me through this stone, Hinata said as she pulled out the stone. Okay, get your other two party member to touch the stone, Chrono said. Hinata relayed the order and soon enough, Shino and Kiba were talking to each other via stone energy. Chrono, how are you talking to us from far away? Kiba asked confused. Trade secret. I'll tell you another time. I just lost contact with Naruto and Team 7. Can you go to their aid? Chrono asked. Why? What happened? Shino asked. I don't know, but from the sound of what Naruto was telling me, they might have ran into a really strong enemy. In any case, meet up with them and if needed, provide them support for defense if needed. Chrono said. Why should we help them? Kiba barked. Because if you don't, I will roast you right where you stand. Chrono threatened. We'll aid them, Shino said calmly as he stood up. Okay, make sure you provide them defense before I check in tomorrow, Chrono replied as he cut the energy off. Well, might as well get started, Kiba muttered. Back at the apartment rooftop, Chrono sighed. I'm very thankful they took the bluff. I can't send any bolts of lighting to their location. Chrono muttered, as he jumped off the roof and floated to the ground via wind magic. The dragon boy entered the apartment to find Haku and Emerald sitting at the table talking cosily. I told Hinata and her team to check on Naruto. Chrono muttered, that's a relief. Emerald sighed, either ways, do you think the Leaf teams will make it? Haku asked as she stood up. It's either that or death in those woods. All I can hope is that they make it through the round. Chrono muttered as he stared out the window, looking toward the general direction of the deadly exam grounds. Sight of desires. It has been 4 days since Chrono has contacted Hinata and her team, and his nerves started to take its toll as he paced around the apartment. Jafar, Haku, and Zabuza lounged around as Chrono paced the complex. What do you think could happen to them? Chrono muttered as he continued pacing the area. It's the Chunin exam. Anything could happen. Zabuza muttered gruffly. They can adapt quickly. Jafar muttered as he got up. I guess. But they are still rookies at least. Chrono muttered as he stopped pacing. Well, if anything else, they have each other to support themselves, Haku pointed out. I guess you got a point there. Chrono muttered when the door opened. Everyone turned to see Emerald, Ninam and Sarutobi enter the room. Sarutobi-san, Haku muttered as she and Zabuza stood up. Well, all examinee made it to the preliminary 3rd round. So I'm here to bring you to the fighting ground. Sarutobi muttered. Yeah, look Chrono. Tenten's father finished the bow. Now I can use it to stop matches if I wanted. Emerald said excitedly as she showed Chrono the bone wing. I know. All we are doing it just to judge them. We'll stop them if anyone is in danger. Chrono replied. Chrono, I got your staff here. Nino stated as she handed the dragon boy the healing staff. Now, is everyone ready? Sarutobi asked. Everyone nodded. Then I'll take you to the outside of the battle arena. Toby muttered as he ran through some hand seals. One loud poof later, Team Alib along with Haku, Zabuza, and Sarutobi appeared in front of the battle arena. Sarutobi entered the building followed by Haku and Zabuza. Emerald looked over to Chrono as he looked at Nino. Nino, do me a favor and place a shroud over me until I say to dispel it. Chrono muttered. Why? Nino asked. I don't want anyone to know what I can do before I show them. Chrono replied. That's silly Chrono, Emerald said as Nino placed the shroud on him. Just enter normally and take up post at a corner of the arena. Chrono said as he heard a few bits and pieces of Sarutobi's speech. From inside the arena, Sarutobi finished up his speech. I realize that there are plenty splendid genins here. So, to ensure that no unfavorable judging occurs, I asked a group of mercenaries to judge this portion of the Chunin exam. May you enter now, Sarutobi said as the door opened. All heads turned to the door as Naruto and Kyushi. Na in her fox form tried to get a look at the people. Who's entering? Naruto asked as he stood on his tippy toes. It's that dragon's group, Kushina mentally said. 3 lines over, Hinata just saw Emerald, Jafar, Nino, Haku, and Zabuza. A small smile formed. Everyone, I would like to welcome our examiners, Sarutobi said as he looked around for Chrono. Hokage-san, Chrono will be here soon, Haku said as they went to a side of the arena. Sarutobi nodded as he smiled. A gust of wind closed the door behind them as Chrono's voice rang out from under Nino's illusion. Man once had wisdom, unlimited knowledge of what is right and wrong, pieces of the greater good that flowed from the knowledge. Chrono muttered as his image momentarily solidified and disappeared beside Tamari. Eventually, man grew their own ideas of the greater good. Difference of ideas sparked the world's first fight. From then, conflict followed. Chrono's form appeared and disappeared from in front of a sound ninja girl. Man soon learned that in order to protect their ideals, they need to protect themselves. From that desires gave birth the first warriors. The warriors of the shadows. Now, we come here to see. While person can become a leader to his squad. Chrono replied as his form completely materialized in front of the statue and the genins. All the genins, saved for the rookie 9, stared at Chrono's wing. I will be that judge. I am Chrono. If you overstep your bounds, I will put you down. Chrono replied as a ninja stepped out and handed everyone a number. Haku took over as she stepped up. The numbers you wear handed will determine who you fight. Look at the screen to see who you are to fight. Haku said as all eyes shifted to the screen. Soon enough, numbers ran rapidly across the screen until 2 numbers stopped. Uchiha Sasuke and Yori Akato, please enter the arena. Haku stated as the ninjas walked to the arena. Chrono shut his eyes for a bit as he stilled his mind. Reopening his eyes, a blue shine came from it as his sky eyes activated. Let the match begin, Chrono muttered as the 2 fighters rushed at each other. 40 minutes has passed as Chrono smiled. During that time, 2 matches has passed as he reflected on one of the match. I never thought that Sasuke would use his eyes to copy speed. That gave him the initial advantage to beat Yori. Chrono thought as the screen showed up 2 new names. Everyone looked as they saw the 2 numbers and the person who held the number. Rock Lee and Sabaku no Gaara. Enter the field, Chrono muttered. Yosh, now is the time to show my training of youth, Lee exclaimed as he jumped to the ground below. Gaara's only response was a sudden poof to the arena through his sand. Are the 2 fighters ready? Chrono asked. Both Lee and Gaara nodded as Chrono looked to his group, who nodded also. Match 3 of the preliminaries. Rock Lee against Gaara. Begin, Chrono declared. Right off the bat, Lee rushed in to deliver a powerful punch to Gaara. The sand surrounding Gaara rose automatically and took the blow for Gaara. Unfazed by his attack being blocked, Lee continued the assault by throwing in some head-level kicks and sweeps. LL attempts were blocked by Gaara as he commanded the sand to swat at Lee. Lee's response was to flip backward while pulling out a kunai and slicing the sand as he went. Eventually, Gaara's sand eschewed. Lieutenant stopped as Lee landed to regain his breath. Over on the ledge overlooking Gaara, Tamari smirked. He won't make it long and Gaara's not going all out. She muttered. It won't be long now. Konkuro muttered as he watched Lee pull out some wheats from his leg warmer and tossed them at Gaara. The sand blocked the wheats barely as Lee rushed in as a blur, punching through Gaara's sand and scoring successful hits. From the sky eyes, Chrono saw each hit landing squarely on Gaara as Lee suddenly lifted Gaara into the air through a well-placed kick. Lee suddenly disappeared and reappeared behind Gaara. His arm bandages surrounded Gaara as Lee uttered his attack. Omit Renge. The pair spun to the earth until Lee sprung away from Gaara at the last second, sending Gaara into a painful slam into the ground. Panting, Lee saw Gaara on the ground and smiled. That smile faded away along with the color and solidity of Gaara as Lee realized it was a sand clone that took the hit. Gaara poofed behind Lee as the sand started lashing at Lee at an increasing pace. Over on the sidelines of the arena, Chrono mentally consulted his group about the performance. How long do you think Lee will last? Nino asked through the glowing stone. Honestly, if Lee doesn't do something fast, very soon. Chrono replied. But didn't you teach Lee some magic? Emerald asked. That was just one night's lesson. Granted, he made a huge leap for one night. But the burst of magic he did is far from battle USEAGE. Chrono replied. At best, a genius can hope to learn magic within 3 years of exposure to the material. Jafar stated as he watched the fight. That's true for a human. It even holds true to dragons. A dragon breath is like magic, so we have a better understanding of how magic works. But to be, and it to are will requires knowledge that we are not born with. Chrono muttered. The group watched the battle even more until Jafar saw a slight flash of black. Haku and Zabuza even saw the flash of black as they looked over to Chrono, who suddenly looked disturbed. Black flash. You don't think Lee managed to progress his magic far enough to use Elder A.N. Shaman magic? Jafar muttered into his stone. That's impossible. Unless Lee's one night of magic lesson triggered some of the innate abilities in magic to thrive, it would be impossible. Chrono muttered. He's making his move. Ald said as everyone watched on Lee's blurred movements. Slamming Gaara around like a pinball, Lee unleashed a torrent of high-speed punches as more black streaks of energy flew out of Lee's body. He finished his onslaught by appearing in front of Gaara and grabbed him before spiraling to the ground enveloped in black energy. Yuzai, Flux, Ura Renge. Lee yelled as the black energy rushed into Gaara and exploded. Lee jumped away from Gaara just as the sand boy slammed into the dirt. Did that do it? Lee muttered. Back on the sidelines, Chrono was beside himself. That's impossible, Chrono restated through the mental link. He just proved you wrong. Nino replied with a slight smile. A sudden crunch and a loud scream was heard as everyone looked to see Lee's left arm and leg. The sand started to crawl up Lee's body when two things happened. The sand around Lee's body exploded as Guy stood in front of Lee while a tornado quickly formed around Gaara, ripping apart any lingering sand that was on its path to Lee. Gaara turned to see Chrono's hand out as his aura glowed. "That will be enough, Sabaku no Gaara. It's your victory," Chrono stated as medics came in to examine Lee's injuries. "I won't lose." Lee's voice strained out. Everyone turned to see Lee on his feet and barely moving. Chrono walked up to Lee along with Nino and examined him. "He's out. How is he still moving?" Nino asked. "The desire to win is fueling him now," Chrono replied as the medics looked at Lee for a few seconds before declaring their findings to Guy and Chrono. "He is too far injured to be on active duty. The bones in his arm and leg is shattered beyond repair," the medic muttered. Guy started to weep for his student when Chrono pulled out his staff along with Nino. "I will reject that notion of beyond repair. Nino, get to the other side of Lee," Chrono muttered as he laid Lee on the ground. Nino got into position as Chrono pulled out his staff. This got everyone in the area intrigued. "Ready?" Chrono asked. "Yeah, on your count," Nino said. "Okay. In 3, 2, 1. Chant," Chrono muttered. The pair started to chant words in their native language of Alib and the dragon language. "Eve." Ryon gasped except for Gaara and a certain Sanin in disguise as the energy flowed into Lee. On the ledge, Tenten looked over to a white-eyed boy. "Neji, what are they doing?" Tenten asked. "I don't know, but it's futile to try. But I'm curious on what they are doing." "Byakugan," Neji proclaimed as his vision zoomed in on Chrono and his chakra. "I can see his chakra going into the staff. But for some reason, I can't see what's coming out of the staff," Neji muttered. "Over with the sound, ninja," Orochimaru smiled psychically. "That boy has something even Sasuke don't have. I will see what he is capable of soon enough." The snake Sanin muttered as he walked off the arena balcony and out of the arena. Back on the ground, Chrono smiled as each bone and muscle was restored to its former glory. "Nino, go on secondary recovery. Heal anything I missed," Chrono stated as Nino channeled her energy to repair the small pockets of spinal damage to Lee. Eventually, through the pair's efforts, Lee was back in tip-top shape with no injuries. The medics placed Lee on a stretcher as they walked off. Chrono followed the stretcher as he muttered to Emerald, "Keep the fights going." Emerald nodded, as Chrono followed Lee to his medical room. It was not long after the medics placed Lee on the bed and left when he woke up. "That's quite an attack that you used. Never thought you used shaman magic in a physical attack," Chrono muttered. "Chrono-san, shaman magic?" Lee asked confused as he sat up. "Yup, that black aura in your fighting aura is shaman magic or black magic," Chrono stated. "What does it mean?" Lee asked. "It means you have innate abilities to use black magic. Don't tell this to anyone. There is enough troubles from everyone watching me and Nino heal you. I don't want sparks to fly until I can defend against them," Chrono muttered. Lee nodded as he started to think. Chrono smiled as he flapped his one wing. "That also means you will go even deeper into magic than you know. I expect you at Training Ground 7 tomorrow." "Okay," Chrono asked as he started to leave. "Hi, Chrono-sensei," Lee exclaimed. "One more thing. If this works, magic will become your ninjutsu," Chrono said as he left the room. On the way back, Chrono smiled as he gave Team Alib information. It was then that he bumped into a pale white-faced man. "Excuse me," Chrono muttered as he stepped around the man. The man placed a hand on Chrono with a vice-like grip. "Can I help you?" Chrono asked as he looked at the man. "You can help me now," the man stated as he looked right into Chrono's eyes. Vizio. NS of his death froze Chrono on the spot as the Dragon Boy struggled to shake off the effects. "Who are you?" Chrono demanded looking at the white-faced man. "The soon-to-be new host of your body." Flames of hope. It was a hair-raising moment. The attacker Sanin stretched out his neck as his teeth grew fangs and launched towards Chrono. "Shit, Hellfire," Chrono muttered, saying the first fire spell that came to mind. A pillar of molten fire erupted in front of Chrono and slammed right into Orochimaru's face, sending him careening backwards from the strike. It gave Chrono enough time to summon an image of his own death and the pain of it to break free. One jump back later, Chrono materialized a shield and sword and took up a defensive stance. Who are you? You have a lot of nerves attacking me alone. Chrono muttered. Kukuku. How silly of me. I supposed you never heard of me, Chrono. The dragon god of war. I am Orochimaru. The snake Sanin muttered. Chrono was stunned for a different reason. How do you know that I am a dragon? Chrono demanded. I just happened to obtain that information from an associate of mine. Orochimaru muttered. Zuma, was Chrono's only answer. A medic came around the corner and saw the pair. Both combatants saw the medic and came to a silent standstill. Chrono walked past Orochimaru and muttered a single threat. Lay a hand on anyone while I am here and I will personally wipe you from history. Chrono kept walking until he returned to the arena where Jafar was moderating the match that just ended. Jafar saw Chrono and nodded as the pair returned to their places. Everyone turned their attention to the screen as it flashed by until it stopped on two names. Both bearing the same last name. Would Neji and Hinata-Hyuga come to the arena? Nino called out as the pair walked down from the ledge and into the arena. Give it up, Hinata. You will never be able to beat me. Neji muttered. Neji Nissan. Hinata murmured. Your stance shows insecurity. The tone in your voice lacks confidence. In short, you have lost even before we got into the arena. Neji muttered. Nissan's right. Compared to everyone, I don't fit in. Hinata thought as she started to open her mouth to forfeit. Giving up so soon, came Chrono's voice in her mind. Wah, Hinata thought as she eyed Chrono. So you had the stone all the time. Either ways, never doubt yourself. Never doubt your abilities. Chrono muttered as Hinata's eyes hardened with resolve. Neji took notice of the sudden change in Hinata's attitude and got into his fighting stance. Hinata also took her stance as they waited on Chrono's voice. Hinata-Hyuga vs Neji-Hyuga. Begin. Chrono muttered as the pair rushed toward each other. Each strike that the pair sent was encased with chakra as both of the Hyuga siblings attacked to gain the upper hand in the match. Hinata held her own very well against her cousin, but Neji's experience proved to be a superior factor as he started to overwhelm Hinata tried to end the match eerily by striking at Neji's chest. Neji retaliated by striking Hinata's arm quickly. Through the sky eyes, Chrono saw the flow of chakra stopped from Hinata's arms. Neji grabbed the sleeves of Hinata's coat and pulled them back so everyone saw the points that Neji struck. You won't be able to generate chakra from your hands now. You want to give up now? Nay, Ji said undisturbed as Hinata jumped backward to gain distances. It was then that she surprised everyone but Team Alib. 7-9. Fire! Hinata cried out as a ball of fire erupted behind Neji and slammed into him, knocking him into the ground. This is my answer. This is my Nindo, Hinata declared as her mind walked into memory lane. Hinata watched Chrono and Nino demonstrate the finer points of magic. The white-eyed girl stared in awe as both produced random elements out of nothing. How are you making fire out of nothing? Hinata asked. The process is easy enough. You just need to create them. Naturally if they are not on site, but that Bind said, using the elements found naturally is harder to do than making them yourself. Nino answered. That's why it's easier to make them yourself. It's like trying to use the power of water to create a walkable bridge. You have the element, but using it to stay solid long enough for you to cross is another thing. Chrono muttered as he started to teach Hinata the method. Flashback end. Neji bobbed and weaved while avoiding palm hand strikes that Hinata unleashed. It lasted a few minutes as Chrono saw his eye-whited mage land a few good hits. ITH magic and fist flay. Neji slammed his palm directly over Hinata's heart. Neji reeled back winded and slightly burnt while Hinata looked from hard and healthy to nearly dead. Give it up. In the end, you will lose. Neji stated coldly. Hinata started to gasp for breath as Chrono started talking mentally quickly through the sky eye stones. Guys, Neji looks like he might actually kill her. Chrono muttered. We'll jump in on your command. Emerald said as she string an arrow up. I won't lose. I will end the bloodline curse and set you free. Hinata said as she looked not at Neji, but at his hiatate that hide the caged bird seal. That roused Neji's rage as he rushed toward Hinata to kill her. Quick as a flash, an arrow and a fireball spell was sent, forcing Neji to jump backwards as Chrono created a hole that Neji landed. Within a blink of an eye, Jafar, Zabuza and Haku surrounded Neji with sebans and swords out and pointed at him. HMPF. In the end, you will always be protected by everyone else. Neji sneered as Chrono slowly released Neji while stating that he won the match. Hinata collapsed on the floor as Emerald and Nino rushed up to her. Chrono soon followed as the medics aimed into the arena and placed Hinata on a stretcher. Jafar, keep the match going. Nino, Emerald, come with me. Chrono muttered as the trio followed the medics out of the arena and into a medic room. Hinata saw the trio when the medic smiled as she smiled slightly. As your teacher, I'm proud of you for using the mixture of magic and melee. As a healer, that was reckless. But overall, good job. Chrono muttered with a slight smile as Nino casted a healing spell on Hinata. Soon enough, Hinata's injuries faded away along with the pain that came with it. Emerald smiled as she gave Hinata a small hug. We'll help you break your kin's fate. Don't feel like you have to do this yourself. We are willing to lend a hand if you desire. Emerald said kindly. I don't want Neji-ni-san to be hurt anymore. Hinata meekly said as Nino walked over and sat beside her. Chrono opened the Sky Eyes stone and managed to catch the last bit of the matches as Jafar filled Chrono in on what happened. It looks like the matches are done for today. Naruto got seated so he'll have the element of surprise next time they fight. Chrono said to the girls. What can we teach him? Emerald asked. I'm not sure. Afar taught most of the stuff he knows now. Let's see what he has planned. Chrono muttered as the four of them left the medic portion of the arena. Soon enough, the sun has set as groups met up outside of the Forest of Death. Jafar gave Chrono one quick look and pulled him aside. They given all of the combatants 1 month to train. I don't have anything else to teach Naruto after the 3rd of the month. Jafar muttered, meaning that he has to find someone else to teach him. My speciality area is in anima magic and Naruto can't use it fully. My best guess is to have him train with Kushina. Have him make use of her energy for his own. Chrono replied as everyone else left the pair to talk. Jafar's only response was a nod as the pair walked back to the village. Upon reaching the apartment, Chrono and Jafar saw Hinata walking towards them. What's wrong? Chrono asked. I have to get home. Chu-san will be angry at me. Hinata stated. At this time, I think not. Best thing for you to do is to stay the night here. Chrono muttered. But, Hinata started to say before she was interrupted. If you are so worried, I'm sure Nino or Emerald is willing to share a room and you have us to protect you. I doubt any warriors is about to fight their way past me and Jafar. Chrono pointed out. Hinata nodded slightly as it gave birth to Chrono's new matchmaking plan. Either ways, it's lights out. I gotta teach someone a part of my style tomorrow. Chrono muttered as the trio went into the apartment. With some delight, Emerald allowed Hinata to sleep in her room and soon enough, Hinata was out like a light. Emerald walked out to the living room to find Chrono holding Naruto's sleeping form in his arms. Emerald quietly giggled as Chrono placed Naruto in the same bed with Hinata. He even made sure that Kushina was still asleep in her own room before leaving for his room. The next morning, Chrono woke up to find Emerald in his arms and fast asleep. Emerald, wake up now, Chrono muttered, shaking her up. 5 more minutes, Chrono, Emerald mumbled as she wrapped her arms around his arm. A loud yep stopped all plans of relaxing in bed as Chrono quickly got out of bed and opened the door to see his plan unfold. The door to Emerald's room opened as a tomato-faced Hinata came out, followed by Naruto. Naruto, I know you said you liked Hinata, but isn't this taking it a bit too far? Chrono said with a smile. It's not what it looks like, Chrono-san. Hinata said, flustered. Emerald came out of Chrono's room as Kushina exited her room to find out the cause of the commotion. Emerald picked up on the scene instantly and decided to join in the fun. It looks like you enjoyed it, Hinata. Besides, you two could be the greatest couple in the village. Emerald said as both genins blushed. Naruto, I love you and all. But you should know to respect a lady's privacy. Kushina said as she walked past said boy and grabbed his ear, dragging him with her painfully. Hinata walked over to Chrono and Emerald and looked at them. What were you two doing together? Hinata asked meekly. Nothing that concerns you, Emerald retorted, giving Hinata the, ask any further and feel my wrath, look. Hinata dry swallowed as Chrono patted her on the head. At the very least, I'll help you learn a few more tips in magic. Chrono muttered as the trio entered the kitchen. Jafar, Haku, and Nino sat on the couch, stood up and walked over to Chrono. What's up? Emerald asked. Haku, Jafar and I are wondering what to do for the month we have before the finals of the Chunin exam. Nino said. I prefer to train. Jafar muttered. You need to relax once in a while. Besides, the last duel with Zabuza you had nearly destroyed the field. Haku pointed out. You should take in the sights. Or take on some missions. That would help you train if anything else. Chrono pointed out. I think I'll do that. Jafar muttered as he left the apartment. A few seconds later, the door opened again as Lee entered the room. Lee, you are eerily. Chrono muttered. Hi, I want to learn more about this elder magic from you, Chrono-san. Lee stated. Okay then. Let's go Emerald. You two Kushina, Naruto, Hinata. Chrono listed as the said people left the apartment. Over at the local hot springs, the group split up into who's training who. Kushina and Naruto took to one large spa while Emerald, Hinata, and Lee took another spa near to Kushina and Naruto. Okay Lee, elder magic is rooted in its innate properties to weaken opponents through attrition. Chrono stated. Attrition? Lee asked. Think of it acting like potion. Except for the part that it can steal opponents' life and cut right through their defense with ease. Chrono stated. What makes this one so different from the one you use? Hinata asked. Anima magic is the magic of the natural world. Elder magic is magic of deception. Regardless of the difference, it is still usable. Now to start. Chrono started as the day waxed on. Around midday, everyone called it a day from what they were doing. For Chrono and Emerald, it was perfecting Emerald's swordsmanship. For Naruto and Kushina, making use of Kushina's chakra. Lee and Hinata perfected the use of magic. By then, everyone was drenched as the ladies decided to take a dip into a hot spring while Lee excused himself for more practice at this training grounds. A few minutes after they entered the spring, a white long-haired old man came up to the women's side and started to peep on the girls while writing on a notebook. Chrono walked up to the man and tapped him. I don't think you should be doing that. Chrono said. Go away Gaki. The man muttered undeterred by them. Who are you looking at? Chrono muttered as he found another peeping hole and looked through it. That quick look instantly turned into a fierce angry look as he turned and tackled the man away from the peephole. That's my girlfriend and my friends that you are peeping at. Chrono yelled as he prepared the largest fireball he could muster. A loud splash came and as a voice called out. Who's there? Emerald's voice called out as Chrono's fireball vanished instantly with her voice. Some peeping toms. I'll get them. Haku's voice called out as a sudden shower of dagger-sized ice started to shoot at them. I'll help you rip them apart. Kushina's voice rang out as red chakra balls rained down on the men. Both men sprang from each other and ran in a different direction. Chrono grabbed Naruto by his midsection and flying off into the distance with the aid of the wind he summoned through magic. The white-haired man, however, reached the Hokage tower where he found Sarutobi standing on top of the tower. Sarutobi, it's been a while. The white-haired man said. Jiraiya, it has been a while. Sarutobi said. Things has been calm, but rumors came to me from my spy network. They stated that Akatsuki has been completely eradicated. Jiraiya reported. That gave the Hokage pause as he turned around to see his pupil. Is that true? Who did it? Sarutobi asked. I don't know. The closest reference we got from the people nearby stated that a flying being destroyed a cave. The network sought the wreckage out, but there are no bodies. It was like someone melted them right on the spot. Jiraiya said. Thanks for telling me this. I can rest a little bit easy. Knowing that Akatsuki will not go after Naruto's life. Sarutobi muttered. That's not the worst bit. Jiraiya said. What can be worse than Akatsuki? Sarutobi asked. The winged being that destroyed Akatsuki. I fear that thing alone can rip the 5 elemental nations apart in one night if it wanted. Jiraiya stated. Sarutobi sighed as he looked toward the direction of Naruto's apartment complex. Jiraiya, let me ask you something. If there was another person that had the flying being's same strength, do you think we stand a chance against it? Sarutobi asked. I can only hope. Jiraiya said as he left Sarutobi on the roof. A few minutes passed as Sarutobi pondered his own question. He spoke one sentence that he yearns can be real. I can only hope that the white flames of hope is you Chrono. Music of the past. For the next week, Chrono, Nino, and Kushina taught Lee, Hinata, Emerald, and Naruto how to fight with their respective style. In no time at all, Emerald became adapted to swordplay as Lee exclaimed his growing talent in elder magic. Chrono, seeing that everyone progressed enough to continue practicing on their own, decided to take a look at the stores. Haku decided to join Chrono on the sightseeing, and soon enough, the pair are walking through the streets of Konoha. So many shops dealing with weapons. Is there any shops not dealing with weapons? Chrono asked as he looked around. I think there's a few shops selling musical items like a flute. Haku said. A flute? What is that, an illness? Chrono asked looking at Haku. Haku smiled as she led the dragon man into the music shop. 20 minutes later, Chrono exited the shop with plenty of instruments in bags as Haku followed Chrono with the music sheets. As the pair reached the apartment complex, Emerald came out of the complex and looked curiously at the mountain of bags that happened to be Chrono. What's this all about? Emerald asked. I have, instruments. Yeah, that's the word. I won. Try my hand out on some of the musics here. Chrono muttered as Emerald grabbed some of the instruments from Chrono. Why? Emerald asked Haku as Chrono entered the complex. I don't know, but if anything, he might be doing something for the town. I just don't know what. Haku replied back. Well, I hope it's something good. Emerald muttered as the two girls returned to the complex. Another week has passed as Emerald found Chrono with the instruments along with Nino, Jafar, Naruto, Lee, Hinata, and Kushina near him. Okay, you guys managed to memorize the music and such. I plan on getting it out to the public around the end of this week. Chrono muttered. Really? This will be great. I hope the people will like the song. Nino said. They will. Music is a universal language after all. Hinata said kindly. Really? Naruto asked puzzled. It is. If given the chance, music can possibly stop fights. Kushina answered. What about the place? Jafar asked. I got that figured out. No. All we have to do is practice the music now. Chrono muttered as he stood up. Chrono, can I see you for a minute? Emerald asked. Okay. Chrono muttered as he got up and walked over to Emerald. I was wondering, how about we grab something to eat sometime soon? Emerald asked. As in a date? Well then, I'll have the date set up. Just leave it to me. Chrono muttered as he left the apartment complex. Emerald stared at the spot Chrono previously occupied as she let out a love-filled sigh. Emerald, you need to get ready for your date. Let's go, Nino said as she, Hinata, and surprising Kushina dragged Emerald out of the apartment complex. 3 days later, Chrono found himself standing in front of the apartment complex in the first robes Eliwood gave him. It was the robe he wore to his coronation as Jafar, Zabuza. And Naruto stood with Chrono as the dragon boy unconsciously held his only wing by his hands. It's not that big, just act like yourself, Naruto said. Oh sure, if I act like myself, I'll be paying for the building's reconstruction. Chrono muttered. Then treat her like a lady, Zabuza stated. I know what I'm doing guys. I told Lee and Hinata to set up at that restaurant. You guys should go ahead and meet up with them. Chrono muttered as Emerald, Nino, and Kushina came out. Emerald looked stunning with the light blue dress that clung to her every curve. How do you like it? Emerald asked. Zabuza snickered as he grabbed Naruto. Come on now, you should be training. Zabuza muttered as he, Naruto, and Jafar left. Wait for us, Nino exclaimed as she and Kushina followed the boys out. Well, it looks nice on you. Chrono replied with a slight blush on his face. Thanks. How about we head out? Emerald asked as she linked arms with Chrono. Chrono smiled, as he led Emerald out of the complex and into the streets. Many of the residents of the village were already at their homes save for the occasional few night-based restaurants that Sarutobi mentioned in the passing. For the dragon pair, they enjoyed being in each other's arm as they reached a restaurant that Chrono had set the band up for the one-night debut. A waitress came up to Chrono and Emerald with a smile. Chrono-sama, Emerald-sama, would you like to eat here tonight? The waitress asked. Yes please, Chrono replied as the waitress led them into the restaurant. The pair soon found their seats near the front of the stage as they were handed menus for their meals. After a quick look, the pair ordered their food and looked at the stage. Emerald smiled as she looked at Chrono. You know something, Chrono. This is the first time since we came here that we took some time for ourselves. Emerald said with a smile. That is true. It was chaos just trying to figure out where we are and learning the rules of combat here. Chrono said, smiling back. Yeah, I just hope the chaos don't come back for a while. Emerald said. That is true. I would like to start researching a way to bring a dragon gate here. Chrono said. You are trying to get us back to Elib? Emerald asked. Yes. We don't belong here. The stuff that is here don't belong to us. Nor the informations we know should linger in this place. Before this is all over, we need to kill Zuma and leave this place. Chrono muttered. But what about Naruto and Hinata? Emerald asked. I'll figure something out. Chrono muttered. Oh, there's Nino, Jafar, Naruto, Hinata, Lee, and Kushina is here with us. What's going on? Emerald asked. My little surprise to you. Chrono muttered as he looked at the stage. On stage, Nino and Hinata smiled as they saw the dragon pair. They're here. Nino whispered with a smile. Yeah, I hope this works out like Chrono-san says. I know it will. It's Chrono after all. He never hurt us if he can avoid it. Nino said before the group took up their position on the stage. It was then that Lee took the mic and stared to the crowd. Hello. This song that we are going to play is dedicated to Emerald-san and Chrono-san. They right there. The man with one wing and the lady beside him. Lee pointed out as everyone's head turned towards them. Nino took that time to cast an illusion upon the entire room to set it to a raining field. Ready, Onin 2-3. Naruto called out as everyone started to play their instruments and Lee started to sing. I figured he had the close enough voice range for this song. The link is at YouTube. Add this tag after typing in the URL watch. V equals DJ3R8PZCI5Q and feature equals related. AN2. Some of the images that I describe won't make sense unless you have read Eyes of the Traveling Dragon before reading this. AN3. I don't own this song called Ron. It belongs to its rightful owner. Yato Mitsuketa Adarashi Asa wa Tsukihi ga Jama wo Suru. The EU morning we've finally found is being hampered by the past. The illusion flashed to the images of a Vaj image of Chrono, Emerald, Nino, and Jafar looking out towards the village of Konoha the day after they arrived. Makao sake wa tasugi ya nakutsuji bakari oikaketa, what we chased after wasn't the future, but the past so full of remorse. The images of Chrono and his group faded to fuzzy images of Eliwood, Hector, Lin, Ninian, and Nils in front of Castle Ostia as it vanishes in front of the illusion Emerald, Nino, and Jafar when the girls tried to grab it. Nariyamanai Yusha Nai Omoid Tachi wa Urashite Kursu Nimini. The ruthless memories won't stop playing, they won't be forgiving us for a long time. Vivid images of Negril, Kumori, the Fang 4- Jafar, and Athos as he was dying flashed in front of the audience as they stared at wonder while the image faded again to the image of Chrono in jail awaiting his execution. Sorosoro kana tesuguri sukarita hoho wo kato ga koboryokiru. It's about now that a teardrop begins to roll down my fatigued cheeks. The scene changes to the moment after Chrono was stabbed by Kumori while the scene changed again to after the fight against Kumori where Eliwood, Lin, Hector, and Emerald shed tears for Chrono. Aim wa itsuka yamunode shuka zuibu nagai ida sumatai, will this rain ever stop? I've been freezing for a long time. The image changes to the battlefield at the ocean near the dreaded isle as it was raining. Chrono is seen flying above the ships raining spells toward enemy ships as Eliwood, Lin, Hector fight off Emi Solidars with Emerald shooting enemies with her bow at perfect accuracy. Aim was Dushite Boku wo Arabuno Sutsumarit Ikana, why does the rain continue to fix on me? I wonder if it could embrace me. The scene flashed back to the airbrun battle Chrono had at the Dragon Gate with Kumori as they rushed into attack while on the floor. Eliwood, Lin, Hector, Emerald, Jafar, and Nino strove to defeat Negril with their swords, bow, and magic. Aim wa yamu kodo wo shinazuni kyo mo furitsuzukukuredo. Today, the rain falls again, endlessly it falls knowing no end. The images changes to Chrono and Jafar leaning against a tree that was sheltering them from the rain as the pair stared towards the ground. The rain gives way as the sunlight shines behind Emerald and Nino as they walk towards them. Sato Sashidashita Kasa no Naka de Nukumori ni Yorosoinagara. We nestle close to each other to share the warmth under this umbrella, you gently held out to me. The scene shines into view as it held Chrono asleep in the bed of Naruto's apartment complex as Emerald sat at the edge of the bed, basking in the warm sunlight, smiling softly at Chrono as she placed a hand into his. The scene fades away as the regular interior of the restaurant faded back into reality with the group finished singing. The crowd inside the restaurants and the outside crowd that saw what happened through a genjutsu that Kakashi put up when he stopped by stood up and cheered as the band walked off stage with smiles on their faces. Even the impassive face of Jafar had a ghost of a smile on his face. Emerald Star ed at Chrono as she leaned over as kissed him. Chrono's response was to gather her into his embrace as the crowd cheered again. Soon enough the pair ate their meal and left the restaurant and started to walk toward the apartment complex. Chrono, I am happy I managed to meet you, Emerald said, giving the Dragon Boy another kiss. The background lit up as colored fire rose to the sky and exploded into various shapes, marking the beginning of their memorable night. AN4. To those who are in the USA that are reading this, happy 4th of July. Those who are not, still happy Independence Day when it comes around in your country. Now for a little special treat for the 4th of July, an omake for you guys to read from me. Omake. 4th of July Physico. Chrono. Come on Scythe 2, I know you are bored. But you don't have to play video games all the time. Scythe 2. I know. But it's gonna rain here on the 4th. I was planning to fire off the fireworks on the 4th. Emerald. I know. Why not fire some off now? Nino. Yeah, that should get you out of your gloom. Jafar. Nods while pulling out the fireworks with Naruto holding a 100-pack artillery set, fireworks lit and pointed unknowingly at Chrono, Scythe 2, Emerald, and Nino. Asterisk. Naruto. You mean these? Points at lit artillery set. Hinata. Walks up to Naruto and sees the lit fuse with horror. Naruto-kun. It's lit. Chrono, Scythe 2, Emerald, Nino, Jafar, turns to face Naruto just as fuse enters the artillery set box. Asterisk what? 84 fireworks missiles shoots out as Chrono, Scythe 2, Emerald, and Nino dives out of the way while Jafar drops the bag of fireworks. He grabs the fireworks and throws it at a distance. 16 fireworks missiles slammed into the bag of fireworks as Jafar sees that and grabs the two genins while diving away from the explosion of fireworks. Chrono gets up. Naruto. Don't ever do that. Scythe 2. The fireworks. Faints. Hinata. I think he passed out. Anxiety's coffin. 3 days until the third part of the Chunin exam were to start. Found C. Hirono in the empty apartment when Haku entered the apartment. Haku saw Chrono and decided to talk to him. What's wrong? Haku asked as she pulled up a seat next to him. I am bored. Jafar and Zabuza is out on a mission and he's due back tonight. Emerald and Nino is helping out at the hospital. Naruto and Kushina is out practicing. Hinata and Lee are helping each other with magic. I have nothing to do. What are you doing here? Chrono muttered as he placed his head on the table with his wings sagging behind him. I just came back from my mission. Haku stated. Really? How it go? Chrono asked. Nothing major. Some bandits. But nothing serious. Haku replied. Well, I'm gonna go take a walk then. Chrono said as he stood up. How about you come with me to the hot spring? Haku said. What do you mean? Chrono asked. Today's co-ed hot spring day. Both genders in the same spring like a lake party. Haku said. I guess I'll come. Chrono muttered as Haku went to her apartment and came out with a bikini that hugged her curves and a towel. The pair left the apartment and were en route of the hot spring when Chrono saw a pale white Chunin from Sound Village. In front, two boys and AG. IRL marched on with a nervous look in their face. The Chunin had a kunai out hidden from the general public as they marched on. Haku, that Chunin has a knife out. Chrono muttered as he started walking toward the group. Haku took that hint and followed Chrono. What's wrong? Haku muttered. That Chunin has those genins at knife point. Chrono replied as he manipulated the wind to hide their footprint sound. The unlikely pair followed the group into an inn and from there, they managed to find the room they were staying at from the outside. On the roof of the inn, Haku is looking around as Chrono sighed. We can't listen into the conversation. Chrono muttered. That's expected. I just wonder how can we get a look inside. Haku stated. I am gonna use an old skill of mine. Chrono said with a smile as he closed both of his eyes. A few seconds later, his eyes glowed sky blue as his sky eyes activated. Is that a bloodline limit? Haku asked, noticing the glowing blue eyes. No, it's a seal placed on me. I can use it to peek on anyone from the view of the sky without any obstruction. Chrono muttered as he viewed the room in question. Through the sky eyes, Chrono saw that the white Chunin summoned 3 coffins. The genins walked into the coffin as the Chunin resealed the coffin and left the room. Chrono's sky eyes ran over the coffin and his eyes widened. The coffins is killing them. Chrono exclaimed as he commanded the wind to lift him to the window of the coffin room. Inside the room, an ice mirror materialized as Haku entered the room. With one swift movement, Haku opened the window as Chrono landed in the room. There's the coffins. Chrono muttered as he started walking to the coffins the Chunins left. Let's start with this one, Haku said as she walked to the last coffin. Chrono nodded as he materialized an axe and started hacking away at the coffin. Each hack made left little marks on the coffin encasing the genins. Haku was first to pick up on the fact. We need to overwhelm it, Haku said as she looked for a heavy item to smash into the coffin. A sudden lurch came as the coffin on the forest left sank back into the ground. Hurry! Chrono commanded as he materialized another axe and started to hack away at the coffin. Haku helped by condensing the water around the coffin until it was thick as kunais. She flash freezed the water and fired the kunais at the mark Chrono made. The mark widened a bit as Chrono smiled. The coffin is weakening, Chrono exclaimed as he backed up to attack with magic. The second coffin sank back into the ground as Chrono pointed at the coffin. The coffin expanded from the inside as Chrono funneled air into it. The coffin started to sink into the ground when it halted and the coffin door blasted open with a blast of wind and light. The girl fell out of the coffin as Haku leapt to her side looking her over for any signs of injury. Thankfully, none existed. She's okay. No injuries that I can see, Haku said as she picked up and carried the girl bridal style. Okay, let's get out of here before that Chunin comes back, Chrono muttered as the pair exited the room via that window. Once the pair placed some distance between them and the inn they found the coffins, Haku stopped as she placed the girl on the ground. Chrono landed beside her as he pulled out his staff and chanted a quick healing spell aimed at the girl. Color returned back to her face as she stirred from her slumber. The pair backed up to give her space as she pushed herself into a sitting position. Where am I? The genin asked. Away from the coffin room, Haku replied. You saved me, the girl asked as some steel colored her voice. We saved you. My question to you is who are you? Chrono asked. The girl flinched as she looked at the one-winged dragon. Kin, I am a genin from Sound Village. Kin replied. Why were you forced into the coffin? Haku asked. At that, Kin's expression turned into undeniable fury. Orochimaru. He betrayed us. Kin spat. The mention of Orochimaru's name got Chrono's attention. He's the white Chunin. What is he doing here? Chrono demanded. Kin turned her fury-laced face toward Chrono as she pulled out some sevens. I won't tell you, Kin replied. I'm not asking. I'm commanding you. Someone like you will not stand up to me. Besides, you want revenge on him, don't you? Chrono stated. That got Kin's her hand dropped the sevens as she felt the sudden sharp rise of unearthly killing intent from Chrono. Invasion. Kin muttered. Invasion. Chrono and Haku exclaimed. He plans on attacking Konoha with that aid of Suna. Kin replied. This isn't good. The Chunin exam is only 3 days away. Jafar and Zabuza won't have time to recover and there will be many people there. We need to tell the Hokage. Haku muttered. Okay, let's get going. We have to let Sarutobi know as soon as we can. Chrono muttered as he grabbed Kin and started to carry her bridal style. Let me go, Kin exclaimed. Let's go, Haku said as she poofed. Chrono commanded the wind as he lifted off with Kin in his arms, squirming at the unnatural flight she was taking and clinging to Chrono as he flew to the Hokage's tower. One ice mirror and wind landing later. Chrono, Haku, and Kin were outside of the Hokage's office as the door opened. The trio entered with Kin in front as Sarutobi looked up from his stacks of paper to see them. Chrono, It's nice to see you. What's wrong? Why do you have a sound genin with you? Sarutobi asked as he stood up. I just received word that there is an invasion of sound and sand. Chrono bluntly said. That got the Hokage's attention. An invasion? Is your source reliable? He asked. A Chunin killed 2 genins within your village and attempted to kill this girl here. It seems like they were going to sacrifice the genins for something. This girl here can explain more. Haku reported as Kin took a slight step forward, nervous beyond all aid. Tell me, why does that leader of Sound Village want to invade Konoha? Sarutobi asked. I don't know. I was told just to prepare for an invasion and that I was needed to make it a reality. He led me to an inn room with 2 genins and told us to stay inside this coffin. Kin muttered as Sarutobi's eyes widened slightly. Sarutobi asked. Tsuchi Kin. Kin replied. Well then Kin, I thank you for alerting me to this potential attack, Sarutobi said. I'm not doing this for you. I want the bells of death to ride over that traitor Orochimaru. Kin exclaimed as a flash of light blinded everyone. As soon as the light died down, Chrono placed a hand on Kin. This light, Chrono whispered. He's here, Sarutobi muttered. Yes, he's the leader of Otogaku. Kin muttered as Chrono walked in front of Kin. More importantly, I need to keep you here. You have something he wants. Chrono muttered. What do you mean? Kin spat turning on Chrono. You have an ability that only resides in Chrono and 3 other people in Konoha. Haku said. What do you mean? Kin asked, curious. You can use light magic. Chrono muttered. Kin laughed. I don't think Orochimaru wants to learn card tricks. Kin said. Chrono's only reply was to sum on a spear in his right hand and place it on Kin's shoulder. This is magic. No scrolls. No hand seals. Just knowledge. Chrono muttered as Kin eyed the spear. Are you implying that I could be stronger than him already? Kin asked. Not without training. Lucky for you, I'll help you train, under one condition. Chrono muttered. What's the condition? Kin muttered. You stay in Konoha with me and my group. I can't let magic out into the world. By trait, magic is just knowledge. Somehow it's becoming its own entity and starting to spirit here. Until I can figure out why, you will be here in Konoha as clan member. Chrono stated. Kin nodded as Sarutobi smiled. Chrono, I want to give you a mission. You don't have to accept it since you are not a ninja by trade. But it would be helpful if you can aid Konoha in its defense. Sarutobi said. I'll aid you if you give me something in return. Which is information on bring living beings from one spot to another. Chrono replied. You mean a summoning jutsu? Sarutobi asked. Does it work on something that does not exit? Chrono asked. Sarutobi nodded. It can. Rashomon gates are gates of hell as one of the many gates that can be summoned. Sarutobi answered. It was the lightning bolt moment that Chrono had. A plan sprouted in his mind as Chrono nodded. I need you to set several stones around the village. Chrono muttered as the door opened behind them. Everyone turned to see Jafar and Zabuza entering the room. Jafar. Zabuza. I thought you guys weren't supposed to be back until the day the 3rd Chunin exam starts. Haku said as Jafar walked over to Chrono. The mission is complete. The nearby bandits near Konoha successfully routed. Jafar stated. Thank you Jafar. I'll send the money to you later. Sarutobi muttered. Quote. I'll expect some warriors at the apartment complex later today. Chrono said as he took Kin's hand and led her out of the room with Jafar, Haku, and Zabuza following. Once the group were outside of the tower, Chrono filled Jafar and Zabuza in on what they knew. The pair was not surprised. After what you said, it makes sense that an invasion is coming. Jafar muttered. In any case, start picking up rocks and such. I need to scatter as many energy stone as I can so I can pinpoint the location of enemies, allies, and civilians as quickly as I can. Chrono muttered as he started walking back to the apartment. Once everyone reached the apartment, Haku showed Kin her room as Naruto, Kushina, Nino, and Emerald came into the apartment. What's wrong Chrono? You look grim. Nino said. We have an invasion on our hands. Jafar muttered. The look of shock ran over Naruto's group as Chrono filled them in on how they acquired the info and plans to prevent Major Kasuli from befalling them. In short, carry your weapons at all times and dispatch them as quickly as you can. We'll team up with Zabuza and Haku in this operation. The teams will be comprised of me, Haku, and Emerald, while the other team has Jafar, Nino, and Zabuza. We should not expect much help from the Genins at best, and the higher-ranked ninjas will be already busy fighting. We just need to repel any additional attacks aimed at the village. Chrono muttered as someone knocked on the door. Emerald opened the door to find Lee, Guy, Tenten, and Neji standing in front of the door. Team Guy, reporting for duty. Lee exclaimed. Lee, how's your back? Nino asked as the team entered the room. It's great, Lee replied as Neji snorted. It was fate that let him recover. He muttered. No, if I believed in fate, I'd be dead. But that's beside the point. I want you guys to gather up as many stones as you can and bring them to me. I'll infuse them with my energy and you guys will then scatter them throughout Konoha. Chrono muttered. As Team Guy walked off to complete their mission, Chrono sighed. When will mankind learn the value of peace? The end. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.